next.
NBC Sports presents the 2000 Major League Baseball All-Star Game.
Welcome to hot Atlanta for the 71st renewal of the game between the American and National Leagues. A sweltering 91 degrees as game time approaches. And while a rash of injuries has removed some of baseball's biggest names from tonight's lineups, this game is still brimming with stars, including the leading vote getter in either league, last year's MVP in the American League, the Texas Rangers catcher Ivan Rodriguez. The king of last night's home run derby, Slammin' Sammy Sosa of the Cubs. And while the reigning American League Cy Young Award winner Pedro Martinez is on the disabled list, he, like Barry Bonds of the Giants, an elected starter who's out with a thumb injury, wanted to be here nonetheless for tonight's ceremonies. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. The pitching pairing tonight sends to the mound the winningest pitcher in each league. David Wells, left-hander for the Blue Jays, will start for the American League. Randy Johnson, left-hander from the Diamondbacks, goes for the Nationals. Joe Morgan will join me in a bit for the play-by-play. But for now, to take you through the pregame ceremonies, here's Hannah Storm.
Thanks, Bob. Well, indeed, there are some stars missing, but one of baseball's biggest is here. As you mentioned, Sammy Sosa. It's been a busy week for the Cubs right fielder. On Sunday, Sosa ended a month of speculation, telling the Cubs that he wants to remain in Chicago at least through the end of this season. He also added that he would veto any trades. And then last night, Sosa was the show at the Home Run Derby. He belted 26 home runs, including 9 in the finals when he outslugged defending champion Ken Griffey Jr. Sosa's down on the field now with Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Hannah. Sammy, you lit it up last night, winning the home run contest. What do you have in store tonight?
It was a thrill. You know, last night was one of the days that I enjoyed the most in my life. It took me 3 years, you know, to go out there and win the home run derby, and hopefully I'll come back tonight and put on the show for the fans. Last night was unbelievable and feel great myself because, you know, I'm back again, and I start to smile again.
The joy is back. How relieved are you now that you have decided, at least for the time being, to stay with the Cubs?
Was released because, you know, at the beginning it was, you know, like a hurricane, you know, and now everything is calmed down, and hopefully, you know, I'll be ready for the second half and you know, finish the year in Chicago, and then after that, you know, we're gonna move forward.
Good to see the smile back. Enjoy tonight,
Sammy. You too.
Okay. Back upstairs to you, Hannah.
Thanks, Jim. Well, tonight Sosa's batting cleanup for the National League, and he'll be facing the Major League's winningest pitcher, David Wells. The lefty is 15-2 on the season and has led the Blue Jays to a first-place tie with his former team, the New York Yankees. A short time ago, Jimmy Roberts caught up with Wells in the American League clubhouse.
All right, well, Sosa not the only worry spot for the American League in this lineup. David Wells, 151 home runs in the starting lineup for the National Leaguers. Does it make you approach this game any differently? There's really no place to take a breather.
Well, you have to when it comes to that. You know, I basically go out every time out and just pitch my game and to my strengths. If they hit it, I tip my cap. If not, then I win.
Your best season ever. We knew how much you love being a Yankee. Is there just a little part of you inside that's perhaps thumbing your nose a bit at the Yankees and saying, "See, I told you so. You should have traded me"?
No, I don't do that at all. You know, I think of it as a business, and that's why you got to respect it. It wouldn't be fair if I held any ties in with the Yankees. It wouldn't be fair to the Toronto Blue Jays. So I just go out there and do my business and don't worry about anything else.
All right, David Wells, have some fun tonight. He's 15-2, making his second start in the All-Star game.
Thanks, Jimmy. And again, the National League starter is Randy Johnson. Now, he pitched on Sunday, so he'll throw only 1 inning tonight. Coming up, 3 of the game's brightest young stars, American League shortstops Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, and Nomar Garciaparra.
It is the joy of every father to share a passion with his child. And through this emotional experience, a baseball bond is formed. It is here where the game of generations finds its truest measure. For baseball endures as a timeless treasure, cherished by kids of all ages.
Welcome back to Turner Field. If last year's All-Star Game was about honoring baseball's past, Tonight, Major League Baseball celebrates the game's future as the 2000 All-Stars are joined by their children and representatives of Atlanta's youth.
What was she doing on stage?
3 All-Star players tonight set to lead this game into the new century are fierce competitors on the field, but friends away from the ballpark. The American League All-Star shortstops Nomar Garciaparra, Derek Jeter, and Alex Rodriguez.
Deep to left center field. Back, goodbye, baseball! Jeter backhands from the outfield grass. Got him!
See you later. Alex Rodriguez is now a 40-40 player.
Deep to left field, he has just hit his second grand slam home run.
A-Rod, Jeter, Nomar. They're not simply the best at their position, but among the top players in baseball. The game isn't easy, they just make it look that way.
To me, I've always found it flattering just being mentioned amongst those guys because I think they're just great players. When you throw my name in the same sentence, I think like, wow, because I like watching them play.
Jeter and A-Rod might play on different coasts, but they keep a close watch on each other's accomplishments.
He's a great person. I mean, he's like my brother, and I'm very happy to see him do well, except when he's playing against us.
He never calls me back unless he does something good. He'll have me watch the highlights. If he has a bad game, I don't hear from him. The only time I hear from him is when he does something spectacular.
Jeter is baseball's Manhattan matinee idol.
The fans have been great to me. I know I'm getting old, but it wasn't too long ago I was a kid, and you understand that it means a lot to kids.
Tonight, as the 3 players sit in the same dugout for the first time, one wonders if Nomar's peculiar batter's box rituals will be imitated again.
He'll make the adjustment on his batting gloves. He'll tap his toes as he gets ready to start the hit.
I actually had a letter from a viewer asking us not to show this because it was irritating him.
In last year's All-Star Game, Nomar was replaced in the field by Jeter, who paid a funny tribute to his friend.
He just told me, he goes, watch this, and I was like watching, and I just started laughing. I was like, wow, that was pretty funny. And I'm like I said, there was a time to have fun. That's what the All-Star Game's all about. It's about having fun.
As you may know, A-Rod tried to break up a double play by the Dodgers on Friday night. He suffered a concussion as well as possible torn cartilage in his right knee. He will not play tonight, but Rodriguez does hope to be back in the Mariners lineup soon. And he's not the only All-Star sidelined by injury. The list includes Mark McGwire, Mike Piazza, Ken Griffey Jr., Cal Ripken, Barry Bonds, Manny Ramirez, Pedro Martinez, and Greg Maddux. Though the list is long, most of the injured players have joined their All-Star teammates here in Atlanta. After this, the pregame festivities continue as we'll meet the 2000 All-Stars. Back in Atlanta, we send it to Braves PA announcer Bill Bowers.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we celebrate the greatest players of the game. Joined on the field by children representing the next generation of stars. And now, let's meet the All-Stars. Here are your All-Star first basemen. Introducing the reserves. From the Kansas City Royals, Mike Sweeney. From the Seattle Mariners, Edgar Martinez. From the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, Fred McGriff. From the Toronto Blue Jays, Carlos Delgado. And from the Colorado Rockies, Todd Helton. Here are your all-star second basemen. Introducing the reserves. From the Chicago White Sox, Ray Durham. From the Montreal Expos, Jose Vidro. And from the New York Mets, Edgardo Alfonzo. Here are your all-star shortstops. Introducing the reserves. From the Baltimore Orioles, Mike Bordick. From the Boston Red Sox, Nomar Garciaparra. Elected to start, but unable to play. From the Seattle Mariners, Alex Rodriguez. From the St. Louis Cardinals, Edgar Renteria. Here are your all-star third basemen. Introducing the reserves. From the Anaheim Angels, Troy Glaus. From the Toronto Blue Jays, Tony Batista. And from the Colorado Rockies, Jeff Cirillo. Here are your all-star outfielders. Introducing the reserves. From the Anaheim Angels, Darren Erstad. From the Chicago White Sox, Maglio Ordonez. Elected to start, but unable to play. From the Cleveland Indians, Manny Ramirez. From the Minnesota Twins, Matt Lawton. From the Arizona Diamondbacks, Steve Finley. From the Atlanta Braves, Andrew Jones. From the Colorado Rockies, Jeffrey Hammonds. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, Gary Sheffield. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, Brian Giles. And elected to start, but unable to play, from the San Francisco Giants, Barry Bonds. Here are your all-star catchers. Introducing the reserves. From the New York Yankees, Jorge Posada. From the Chicago Cubs, Joe Girardi. From the Philadelphia Phillies, Mike Lieberthal. Here are your all-star pitchers. Introducing the reserves. From the Boston Red Sox, Derek Lowe. Pedro Martinez. From the Chicago White Sox, James Baldwin. From the Cleveland Indians, Chuck Findlay. From the Detroit Tigers, Todd Jones. From the New York Yankees, Mariano Rivera. From the Oakland Athletics, Tim Hudson. And Jason Isringhausen. From the Seattle Mariners, Aaron Seeley. From the Atlanta Braves, Tom Glavine. And selected but unable to play, Greg Maddux. From the Cincinnati Reds, Danny Graves. From the Florida Marlins, Ryan Dempster. From the Houston Astros, Shane Reynolds. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, Kevin Brown. From the Milwaukee Brewers, Bob Wickman. From the New York Mets, Al Leiter. From the San Diego Padres, Trevor Hoffman. And from the St. Louis Cardinals, Darryl Kyle. Here is the American League All-Star coaching staff. From the Seattle Mariners, Lou Piniella. From the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, Larry Rothschild. From the Cleveland Indians, Dick Pohl. And from the New York Yankees, Mike Borzello, Chris Chambliss, Lee Mazzilli, Willie Randolph, and Don Zimmer. The manager of the American League All-Star team from the New York Yankees, Joe Torre. Here is the National League All-Star coaching staff. From the Arizona Diamondbacks, Buck Showalter. From the Houston Astros, Larry Dierker. From the Atlanta Braves, Pat Corrales, Bobby Dews, Glenn Hubbard, Leo Mazzoni, Merv Rettenman, and Ned Yost. The manager of the National League All-Star team from your Atlanta Braves, Bobby Cox. And now, the starting lineup for the American League. Leading off from the Cleveland Indians, playing second base, Roberto Alomar. Batting second from the New York Yankees, playing shortstop, Derek Jeter. Third, from the New York Yankees, playing center field, Bernie Williams. Batting fourth, from the Oakland Athletics, playing first base, Jason Giambi. Fifth, from the Boston Red Sox, playing left field, Carl Everett. Batting sixth, from the Texas Rangers, the catcher, Ivan Rodriguez. Batting seventh from the Kansas City Royals, playing right field, Jermaine Dye. Batting eighth from the Cleveland Indians, playing third base, Travis Fryman. Batting ninth, warming up in the bullpen, from the Toronto Blue Jays, the pitcher, David Wells. And now, the National League starting lineup. Leading off from the Cincinnati Reds, playing shortstop, Barry Larkin. Batting second from the Atlanta Braves, playing third base, Chipper Jones. Batting third from the Montreal Expos, playing left field, Vladimir Guerrero. Batting fourth from the Chicago Cubs, playing right field, Sammy Sosa. Batting fifth from the San Francisco Giants, playing second base, Jeff Kent. Batting sixth from the Atlanta Braves, playing first base, Andres Galarraga. Batting seventh from the St. Louis Cardinals, playing center field, Jim Edmonds. Batting eighth from the Pittsburgh Pirates, the catcher, Jason Kendall. Batting ninth, warming up in the bullpen, from the Arizona Diamondbacks, the pitcher, Randy Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give your 2000 All-Star teams a big round of applause.
When we come back to Atlanta, the national anthem sung by recording star Brandy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing, and to honor America, join in the singing of our national anthem, which will be presented tonight by film, television, and Atlantic recording star Brandy.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner wave for the land of the free and the home of the
It's time to play ball. When we return, Randy Johnson will lead the National League All-Stars against David Wells and the American League.
As we return to Turner Field, we're joined now by Hall of Famer and 10-time All-Star Joe Morgan, the MVP the last time the All-Star Game was played in Atlanta in 1972. His 10th inning single off the Orioles' Dave McNally won it for the National League. As we've noted, and we'll talk more about this as the broadcast continues, there are many big names missing tonight, but the game still has plenty of star power, some of them established stars, others on the brink of superstardom. Pick one guy from each league that you're really focusing on tonight.
Well, Bob, it's very rare when we get an opportunity to see a player that could be the best ever at his position. But that's what we have in Ivan Rodriguez. He is a great defensive catcher, a powerful hitter. He runs well. He hits for a high average. I mean, eventually he could be the best catcher ever. And that's saying a lot.
Especially coming from a guy who was a teammate of the great Johnny Bench. It really carries some weight. There's a guy over in the National League who is just about to bust loose. The players know about him. The people who follow the game closely know about him. The casual fans will soon.
Well, they call him Bad Vlad. That's Vladimir Guerrero of the Montreal Expos. This guy has potential that's unlimited. Great power hitter, runs. He has a .369 batting average, one of the strongest arms in baseball. And these two guys really kind of show the influx of great Latin American talent that we have in the game today, and is on display every day at some ballpark. The Latin Americans have showed that they are great baseball players.
In fact, roughly a third of the players selected for this game are Latin American. Joe Torre and Bobby Cox beating out at home plate. The American League has won the last 3 All-Star games and 9 of the last 12. But overall, the National League, because of their dominance in the 60s and 70s and part of the 80s, still leads the series by a wide margin, 39-29, with 1 tie. When you were playing, Joe, there was a real passion surrounding this game and a real desire to win, I think especially on the part of the National Leaguers.
Well, you were really identified with a league in those days, Bob. There have been so many superstar players move from the American League to the National League and vice versa. But in those days, all the National League superstars stayed in the National League and all the American leaguers were in the American League. And you wanted to prove that your league was better than the other league. And I think now that that's not the case anymore.
The game is still important, but there's so much hoopla surrounding it, the home run derby and whatnot, the ceremonies before the game, that it's leaning more in the direction of an exhibition than a torrid competition.
Well, I agree, and a lot of the players are just happy to be here, and that's great because I think it's a great exhibition. I mean, the fans enjoy it. The fans get a chance to see all the great players on the field at the same time, and I think that's what the All-Star Game was meant to be. All the great players on the field at the same time.
Waiting for the National Leaguers to take the field. Randy Johnson will start for them. That surprises some people because he pitched on Sunday and got his 14th victory against only 2 defeats with a win at Oakland. But this would have been his day to throw on the side anyway, and he's going to pitch just 1 inning. No matter how well he does, it's 1 inning only for Randy Johnson, and then he can take his normal turn when the season resumes.
But it also points out that this is very important to Randy. He wanted to pitch. I mean, it's been very easy for Randy to say, hey, I pitched on Sunday, I'd like to take this time off. Well, you see what he's done so far this season. I mean, he has been the guy in the National League. 1.80 earned run average. That's amazing. But he is actually a better pitcher now than he was when he won the Cy Young Award.
Well, he has 198 strikeouts in 137 innings of work while yielding only 34 walks, an incredible ratio.
And I think part of the reason that he is a better pitcher and he walks fewer batters now is because he has changed a lot of his delivery. He uses a little more variety in his pitches now, and he doesn't exert so much energy on every pitch.
You know, there are lots of ways to measure effectiveness, but by one measure, Randy Johnson and Pedro Martinez could be having the 2 greatest pitching seasons of all time. At this point in the season, their ERAs are better than their respective league averages by a larger percentage than any pitcher in any season in the game's history. With offense exploding all around baseball, you're actually a pretty good pitcher if your ERA is 4. There are some All-Stars with ERAs in the vicinity of 5. Now you have Pedro at 1.44, and that's pitching in Fenway in a DH league, and Randy Johnson at 1.80. That's Bob Gibson or Sandy Koufax territory.
And let's take a look at the defense for the National League, as they are the home team. There you see Guerrero, Edmund, Sosa in the outfield, Chipper Jones, Larkin, Kent, and Galarraga at first, and Jason Kendall, son of Fred Kendall, behind the plate, former Major League catcher, Freddie Kendall.
Andres Galarraga, the cancer in remission after he missed all of last season, an All-Star at age 39. And he was accorded perhaps the warmest reception of any All-Star in the pregame introductions.
And he showed you that he appreciated it more than anyone else. And he's just so happy that he's been able to come back. But just think about it. It would have been enough just to come back and play, Bob, but he's having an All-Star season. He's hitting for power. He's driving in runs. And the Braves are leading the National League.
Sammy Sosa had been slumping with all the trade talk surrounding him. In recent days, as you know, he's proclaimed that he intends to stay in Chicago. He certainly was loose last night. He jacked 26 out of here in the home run competition.
I talked to him about 3 days ago, Bob, and he told me that he was definitely going to stay in Chicago the remainder of the year, and that did put a smile on his face. He knows now that he's going to be there, and he says he really hasn't had a hot streak yet this year as far as home runs are concerned. And here's Randy Johnson, and we talked about him being a little different than in the past. Well, the difference is that he always threw the riding fastball and the big breaking slider. He has added a sinker to his repertoire, and he also throws a shorter, harder slider. So it makes him almost impossible to hit now. He was just really tough before, but he's a much better pitcher now than he was, 2 years ago.
Between the nearly 100-mile-an-hour heat and the wicked slider, and then you throw in the size and that motion, he leaves left-handed hitters trembling.
Well, very few left-handed hitters play against him nowadays, Bob. They always have a convenient day off when Randy Johnson is pitching. And I don't blame the managers. It's almost impossible to hit this guy from the left side.
There's his opponent. David Wells. The starters tonight are not exactly prototypes when you talk about big league physiques. Johnson's the tallest pitcher in Major League history at 6'10" and a lanky 230. David Wells is 6'4" and listed with a question mark behind it at 235.
But you know what? They both get the job done. And I've said all my career that if you're left-handed and you can throw strikes, you can win in the major leagues.
Roberto Alomar particularly grateful on this night that he's a switch hitter. From the right side against Johnson, flashbulbs popping on the first pitch. It's Larkin scooping it up and throwing him out.
Bob, Roberto Alomar is the only starter on the American League that wasn't hitting 300, and this guy hits 300 every year. He's just off to a slow start this year. I believe he'll be up to 300 before the season is over.
With Alex Rodriguez sidelined, Derek Jeter starts tonight. Obviously, both Jeter and Garciaparra are terrific, but Garciaparra of the Red Sox has the better numbers at midseason. Jeter fouls it away. We asked Joe Torre why Derek Jeter gets the start. Some might suspect, especially those in Boston, that it's a hometown call by the Yankee manager. But Joe had a better explanation. He said, no, Garciaparra started last year's game. Jeter is pretty much his equal. I select him to start tonight, but Garciaparra will play about the same amount of time. Have there ever been 3 shortstops in one league at the same time with numbers like these? A liner to left. It'll drop for a hit. Down the line. Possible extra bases. Jeter on his way to second as Guerrero fires a bullet toward the middle of the diamond, but Jeter is in standing.
Well, Randy Johnson gets this pitch up a little bit, not exactly where he wants it. High fastball, and Jeter rips it down the left field line. Very rarely you will see a fastball like that up and away pulled off of Randy Johnson by a right-handed hitter.
And now it's the Yankee center fielder, 4-time All-Star, switch hitting Bernie Williams. Comes in at 329.
And Bernie feels he's a better hitter from the right side.
A broken bat roller. Larkin looks Jeter back. And Galarraga handles the throw at the other end. With Cal Ripken sidelined, no All-Star has been with his team longer than Barry Larkin. His 15th season in Cincinnati.
Bobby, you're getting the feeling here that none of these hitters want to get behind Randy Johnson and see that slider. Every time he's thrown a fastball first pitch, they've swung at it.
The honor of hitting cleanup in the American League lineup goes to Jason Giambi. Now, he just saw Johnson this past weekend in Oakland.
But he saw a lot of that right there, too. He chased a lot of breaking ball. Randy struck out 13 of the Oakland A's in only 5 innings, 5+ innings in his last outing.
Giambi's a first-time All-Star. He has that short power stroke, and he's down in the count 0-2. Mike Riley, a 24-year veteran, working his 3rd All-Star game, has the plate. Mark Hirschbeck at first, Wally Bell at second, Paul Schreiber at third, Brian Onora left field line, Lazaro Diaz calls the plays down the line and right. The 0-2 pitch struck him out with some high heat. Jeter doubles, but he's stranded at second. That's it for Johnson. A tidy half inning. National Leaguers coming up.
MLB at Home is presented by Flonase Allergy Relief. Get 24-hour all-in-one allergy relief with Flonase.
The 2000 Major League Baseball All-Star Game is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher. When the moment comes, will you have what it takes to finish? Gatorade. Is it in you? By Nextel. How business gets done. Call 1-800-NEXTEL-9. And by Nike.
Well, let's take a look at the American League defense that will be behind David Wells. Carl Everett, Bernie Williams, Jermaine Dye in the outfield, Travis Fryman, Jeter, Alomar, Giambi, and Ivan Rodriguez behind the plate. And David Wells, like Randy Johnson, having an awesome season, 15-2. And I really believe that David Wells is still proving to the New York Yankees that they made a mistake. I mean, he wants to prove that more than anything else, and he's doing a great job of that. Throws a fastball, curveball, a slider, and a changeup. Uses a lot of fastballs, changeup. And the one thing about David Wells, he will come after these National League hitters. He proved that when he started in Colorado 2 years ago. He's not afraid to challenge the hitters.
At age 37, he may be better than he's ever been. Facing his one-time Cincinnati teammate Barry Larkin. Larkin appearing in his 11th All-Star game and taking strike one. Randy Johnson in the top half of the inning threw just 8 pitches. In retiring the American Leaguers, 7 of them were strikes. Larkin's bat goes flying as he swings and misses.
And that's what a left-handed pitcher does so well against right-handed hitters. Ball tailing away, and that's why they're so effective. That's why I say if they can throw strikes, they can win in the major leagues, because right-handed hitters have trouble with this pitch. Watch, it just moves away. And that's a natural movement for a left-handed pitcher to a right-handed hitter.
And the 0-2 pitch is popped up on the infield. Giambi in from first base to take it.
You'll see a lot of that from David Wells. He went away twice and then came up and in on Barry Larkin.
A round of applause for hometown favorite Chipper Jones, who wasn't an All-Star last year, even though he was the National League's MVP.
How do you figure that?
You can't.
That's amazing.
A switch hitter who used to do almost all of his damage from the left side, but when Don Baylor was the hitting coach here with Atlanta, he really got Jones to be more aggressive from the right side of the plate. It began to pay dividends a year ago. Hit through the box for a base hit.
And that's what you have to do against a left-handed pitcher like Wells. The ball's tailing away. You do not try to pull it. Watch, he doesn't try to pull this ball. It's a fastball on the outside part of the plate, tailing away from him. Look at that, off the plate. Actually, he just reaches out and hits it right back through the middle. You can't pull this pitch. You just go back through the middle with it. Good hitting there by Chipper Jones.
Jones at first with 1 out, and here's the Expos' Vladimir Guerrero, who is merely hitting .369 with 23 homers. Rips one foul and sends them scattering in the American League dugout.
Vladimir is a free swinger. He doesn't care if it's a curveball, fastball, whatever. If he thinks he can reach it, he will swing at it. Look at this. That's a breaking ball right off the bat. I mean, he rips. See the rotation of his hips? That's how where he generates so much power. Now watch the guys in the dugout. You better watch the game.
An all-Canada matchup here. Blue Jays Wells to the Expos Guerrero. A line drive grabbed at second base by Alomar, and scampering back to first is Chipper Jones.
That's an unusual play in that Alomar was playing him up the middle. Vladimir hits the ball all over, but this pitch is away, and he rips it up the middle. But right there is Roberto Alomar. He has a knack of being at the right place at the right time.
And now Sammy Sosa. 23 homers for the season after hitting 66 and 63 the last 2 full years. Foul to the seats.
Not bad numbers, huh? Look at that. 66, 63. He actually became the first player in the history of the game to hit 60+ 2 years in a row, and then he was joined by Mark McGwire, of course.
And McGwire out-homered him both in each year by season's end. Jones at first with 2 down, and the 0-1 pitch to Sosa is high. Wells does not have an overpowering fastball, but he does have that off-the-table curveball.
And we haven't seen but one curveball. He threw it to Vladimir on the first pitch. But what David Wells does is he throws strikes and he stays ahead of the hitters.
His 1-1 pitch is bounced foul. It's an understatement to say that Wells has good control. He walks barely more than a hitter for every 9 innings of work. That's the best ratio in the American League. And what he has always been is a great postseason pitcher.
And the other thing he's always been is a free spirit.
One look at him, even if you didn't know anything about him, would tell you that. Here's the 1-2.
Beautiful.
Got him looking. Each starter allows a hit in the first, but each runner is stranded. No score after 1 in Atlanta.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else. Why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase Sensimist. Nothing stronger, nothing gentler, nothing lasts longer. Flonase Sensimist. 24-hour non-drowsy allergy relief.
Jim Gray back in Atlanta in the National League dugout with the starting pitcher tonight, Randy Johnson. You threw just 8 pitches, 7 strikes. Now you pitched on Sunday, easily could have passed on pitching here. Why was it so important to you, Randy?
Well, I mean, I got selected to the All-Star team. I want to represent our organization along with Steve Finley, and it's a great honor to be an All-Star. And you know, to pitch 1 inning, I didn't know I was going to throw 8 pitches, especially the way I warmed up today, but I'll definitely take that.
Now you've had back surgery. You've thrown a lot of pitches. You're 36 years old. As you go down to the second half of the season, is your back a concern at all?
Not at all. I haven't had, I've only been on disabled list 2 times in 12 years, so, and I haven't had any problems with my back since I've had surgery, and that was back in '96. So,
Randy, good luck in the second half. The Diamondbacks are doing well.
Thank you.
All right, back upstairs to you, Bob.
Thank you, Jim and Randy. The new National League pitcher is Danny Graves, who didn't expect to be here. He was literally packed to go fishing when he got the call after Greg Maddux was hurt. 26-year-old right-hander from the Reds facing Carl Everett of the Red Sox and getting ahead of him 1-2. Graves is 9-1. His ERA is under 2, and he saved 14 of a possible 15.
Bob, the great thing about the replacements, the guys who were chosen to replace the injured players, they could have easily have been chosen to be here in the first place. They are good players. They're all-star caliber players anyway. There just wasn't enough room for everyone.
Everett with a drive toward right center field. Sprinting over is Jim Edmonds, and this is nothing for him. One of the best ball hawks in all of baseball. Listen to this conversation in the American League dugout between Joe Torre and his former pitcher, and his pitcher again for a night, David Wells.
Okay,
will they let you?
It's your call. No, I can't pinch hit, and you go out there and pitch. If you want to go ahead and go up there and hit, that's fine.
I'll go.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. I just don't want, you know, just go ahead and take 3 pitches. I don't care. I don't want you to hurt yourself that way.
All right.
All right? So you want to hit?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. He'll hit.
Wells is scheduled to work 2 innings. If 2 men get on in this inning, pretty clear that Torre is going to let him back, which might be comical. Here's Ivan Rodriguez
Bob,
fouling it off.
I think this situation brings to mind that maybe we should have an opportunity where they can pinch hit for the pitcher and let the pitcher stay in the ball game.
In the All-Star game.
In the All-Star game, it would give you an opportunity to use more players, and I don't think a lot of people want to see the pitchers hit anyway.
Whether you like the DH in other games or not, in the All-Star game, there's no reason for a pitcher to hit.
Right, and I think because you want 2 innings from David Wells, but if a couple of guys get on, you know, you'd have to hit. And in some cases, the managers have been forced to take the pitcher out because they did not want him to go to the plate. But David said he would go.
In past eras, a guy who could catch like Rodriguez, if he could hit 225, you'd be thrilled. He's hitting 366 with 80 RBIs at the break and slugging over 700. Still 0-2.
And he has improved every year, Bob. I mean, he's improved some part of his game. I mean, he hits for a higher average now, and now he's added power. I mean, he is a power hitter now, and he's still a great defensive player. I mean, he really controls the game from behind the plate, and that's what Johnny Bench did so well. They control the game from behind the plate.
Bench started 9 straight All-Star games as a catcher. This is Rodriguez's 8th consecutive start. Bench's string of 9 is the record. Rodriguez has tied Yogi Berra for the American League mark for catchers with his 8th straight start. It's his 9th appearance as an All-Star overall, and he's still only 28 years old. 1-2 pitch from Graves. A line drive. He does this so often, going the opposite way. He'll stop at first.
What's difficult to do is to take this inside pitch and hit it hard. Watch how he pulls his hands in and goes out the other way. Look at that. I mean, he just rips the ball to right field. Most guys would try to pull that ball. He just inside outs at the right field, but that's the way he hits. And what that allows him to do is stay on the ball longer because he's not pulling off.
And he runs especially well for a catcher. He'll steal a base for you now and then.
Something that Johnny Bench also did well.
Here's the former Atlanta Brave, Jermaine Dye. Swings on the first pitch, lofts it into shallow left field. Here's Guerrero to take it. Look at the smile on his face as he cocked the arm, just daring Rodriguez to try something. He wants to show his skills off here tonight.
And you like to see a guy having fun on the baseball diamond. And he's having fun.
This is one of the most gifted players ever. And I'm not dealing in hype here.
No.
Talk to every baseball man. They will tell you that this is a guy who they believe will soon bear comparison to Willie Mays, to Roberto Clemente, to Ken Griffey Jr., to Mickey Mantle when he was healthy. Swing and a miss by Travis Fryman. He starts at third with Cal Ripken injured. Troy Glass of the Angels will come on later in the game. Slow roller foul.
And like the situation at shortstop, we asked Joe Torre why Travis Fryman over Troy Glaus, and he basically said Fryman had never started an All-Star game, and he is a veteran, and so he gave him the nod. There's Troy Glaus, great young player from the California Angels. Joe Torre.
If Fryman can reach with 2 out here, Wells will get his chance to bat.
Let's hope he doesn't reach. I don't know if I want to see that.
Look at Wells, though, in the on-deck circle. You know his idol was Babe Ruth. He wears number 33, which is Ruth's number twice. Paid a pretty penny once for an old battered Babe Ruth cap and tried to wear it on the mound in a regular game, and they wouldn't let him. And they're not going to let him bat either because Fryman's strikeout ends the American League second. Nice bit of work by Danny Graves. And we're back to Turner Field after this.
Chevy Blazer LT, the only vehicle in its class with OnStar and lots of other security features. A little security in an insecure world. Blazer, like a rock.
Come on, let's go. Look at that, look at it. Come on, you score. All right. That's the kind of play we need.
Talk to your doctor about Zocor. Zocor, be there.
Now you can receive a short text message over the internet. Then send back an answer. Or simply type in one of your own. Introducing two-way internet messaging, only from Nextel.
Hello. What's up?
Everyone's calling the #1 movie in America
Hilarious. Funny.
the most outrageous comedy of the summer.
I'm definitely going to see this again.
Scary Movie. Rated R. Now in theaters.
As American as the Southwest. Rich, vibrant, a spirited blend of color and texture. Applebee's introduces stuffed chicken Santa Fe. Tender marinated chicken filled with smoky cheeses and mild peppers. Topped with a zesty pepper cheese sauce that's unmistakably Santa Fe. For a limited time only, stuffed chicken Santa Fe. As unique as the Southwest, as American as Applebee's.
Ivan Rodriguez got the most votes of any major leaguer for the All-Star game. And Mike Piazza of the Mets led the National League balloting. These are not the sort of figures you generally associate with catchers. Listen to Joe Torre, who once won a batting title himself after the base hit by Rodriguez in the last half inning.
That's all. He's only hitting 366, 26 homers, 80 RBIs. He's a catcher. And we've spent all our careers telling everybody how tough it was to catch.
Of course, by the time Torre won that batting title in St. Louis, he was playing third base.
Bob, look at these numbers. Last year he hit 332, 35 home runs, 113 RBIs, and 25 stolen bases. I mean, that's special, and he was American League most valuable player. And he plays in the heat of Texas, and that's very tough on catchers.
Here's the Giants' Jeff Kent swinging on the first pitch. Giambi over for a look, but it's out of play. Kent leads the National League with 85 runs driven home at the break. But you've got to put some of this in perspective. There are 46 major leaguers, 46 with 60 or more RBIs at the break. There will be easily more than 50 major leaguers who will drive in better than 100 runs, some of them better than 120, which used to be thought of as a monster season. Swing and a miss by Kent. To show you how things have changed in a little more than half a decade, in the 10 best seasons of Hank Aaron's career, he averaged 39 homers and 110 RBIs. There are about 36 major leaguers on pace to exceed both those figures this year. And with all due respect to the great talent in the game today, I don't think there are that many guys better than Hank Aaron alive now or ever.
I agree with you. I don't think they're better. But hey, those numbers you talked about may be exceeded by 3 or 4 second basemen.
And what does that tell you, oh second baseman of years past?
I have to tell you, I think the second basemen are pretty good.
Broken bat roller. Giambi has it. Wells covers, but he waves him off. And now listen to the reception for Andres Galarraga. They let him know how they felt about him in the pregame ceremony and now in his first at-bat. And he lines it hard to left field, but Carl Everett scarcely has to move to take it. That was blistered, but right at the American League's left fielder.
Bob, I think Andres is very well named. They call him El Gato, the cat, the big cat. And I mean, he's like a big cat. He's easy to love. I mean, he is just a great individual.
That smile is ever present, even last year. With his health so much a concern, he remained upbeat for the most part.
Right.
Jim Edmonds swings on the first one and fouls it to the screen. A year ago, he missed more than half the season with the Angels because of injuries and batted only .250 with 5 home runs. This year, he's a bona fide MVP candidate, at least off the season's first half returns, hitting .341 with 25 homers in St. Louis. And playing a fabulous center field.
And he has a very unusual hitting style, Bob. He really doesn't stride. Most people stride forward with their right foot or their front foot. He just kind of lifts his back heel and drops it back down. He does not generate a lot with his lower body.
You might as well go up there swinging against Wells because he's not going to walk you.
That's true. Let's take a look at this swing. Now watch, he doesn't stride forward. Look at his front foot. He just lifts his heel and puts it back down. And that's how he starts the bat. Most hitters use their lower body to generate bat speed. He does it with his top half of his body.
Talking about going up swinging against Wells, it isn't just that it's unlikely that he'll walk you. It's unlikely that you'll get ahead in the count and be able to sit on a pitch. He's always working ahead of you.
And Bob, that's one of the problems I think a lot of pitchers have in the game today. They fall behind and then they have to give in to the hitter. But your better pitchers are ahead of the hitters, and the hitters have to give in to them a little bit.
Here's his 1-2 pitch. And Edmonds spoils it. This is the second time Edmonds has been an All-Star. He would have been a reserve, but Ken Griffey Jr.'s injury makes him the starter in center field. Jason Kendall, the Pirate catcher, is on deck. And this one is lifted back of third. Travis Fryman has no play on it.
And Bob, it's kind of ironic that Mark McGwire was making a joke. He said, you know, if he's not elected to the All-Star team, I may not play. And look, he's the one that's not here with an injury, and Edmonds is playing. So unusual, but McGwire was making a joke, he said, and people kind of took it literally.
When you call the roll of those who are missing tonight, they're not just all-stars, they're superstars. Every one of them a certain or likely Hall of Famer. 9 of them in all. Giambi can't get it. It's through the hole. A 2-out single for Jim Edmonds. Folks, you can log on to MSNBCSports.com for a comprehensive in-progress total cast of the All-Star Game featuring real-time stats, pitching and hitting charts, and an in-game box score. Plus, after the game, listen to audio reports featuring players from both leagues and a special look ahead to the second half of the season. All at MSNBCSports.com, the official website of NBC Sports. Here's Kendall, the starter for the ailing Piazza. That one rattled Rodriguez's cage just a bit.
Again, David Wells throws a strike right on the inside part of the plate. Kendall fouls it, gets a piece of Rodriguez.
That one's down and in, 1-1. Here are the 9 who are missing. Ripken, A-Rod, Manny Ramirez, Pedro Martinez from the American League, and from the National, McGwire, Griffey, Pons, Piazza, and Maddox. There'll be some plaques with those names in Cooperstown someday. 1-2. Jason Kendall has come back to All-Star form after one of the most gruesome injuries in recent memory. A broken ankle last year, which ended his season and placed his career in doubt. And he's come back to hit .319. Another 1-2 pitch. And a called strike 3. So David Wells puts his 2 innings in the book, and no one's broken through yet.
MLB Priceless Moments, presented by MasterCard.
Gives the ball to the kid. How awesome is that?
Jimenez in the air.
And there's one happy fan.
That's why we love this great game and the great players in it.
The moment. That's amazing. That is amazing.
Big hug. A big Josh Bell fan.
Wish you a long and happy life together.
Mike Trout, as usual, signing autographs for some young fans, and the reaction, priceless.
Back here at the All-Star Game in Atlanta, Jimmy Roberts in the dugout with the American League pitcher of the first 2 innings, David Wells, his son Brandon. David, we heard an interesting discussion between you and your old manager Joe Torre about hitting. What was your strategy had you had a chance to bat?
Well, I probably know me would have been swinging for something, but he encouraged me to just take 3 and sit on down. But you know, when you get up in this situation, if you get the opportunity, you can't leave the bat on your shoulder.
The expectations of Toronto this year have clearly been exceeded. So much talk Sean Green is gone, talk of Carlos Delgado being traded. How do you explain how well Toronjo has played this year so far?
Well, you know what? These guys just go out and play hard every day. I mean, if you can follow by example Raul Mondesi, who just runs everything out. He's a locomotive, and you know, and that inspires other guys to go out there and play just as hard. And you know, and that's what we do. We go out there, we play hard for 27 outs, and you know, it gets contagious. And you know, with the young staff that we have, you know, either side, it's you know, it's something to me that you just have to go out there and make the good pitches and keep the team in the game, and you've got a chance of winning.
All right, back to you, Bob.
Joe, that is the sort of play Jim Edmonds seems to be making almost every night this year in St. Louis. And, of course, Angels fans watched him do it for several seasons out on the West Coast.
Well, watch him. He makes this catch, and then he turns around. He says to the left fielder, Guerrero, he says, wow. I think he was a little impressed. Well, he runs. He keeps the ball over his shoulder, and that is a difficult play. That is not an easy play.
That ball was hit by the Orioles' Mike Bordick, batting for David Wells.
And look at this. I mean, look at this play. I mean, it's over his shoulder.
Roberto Alomar slices that one foul. Kevin Brown is the new pitcher for the National League.
There you see the Gold Gloves that he has won. Both of those coming in the American League. But with plays like that, he'll probably win one in the National League sooner or later.
So Randy Johnson pitched the first, Danny Graves the second, and now Kevin Brown, 8-2 this year with a 2.38 ERA, second in the National League to Randy Johnson's 1.80. Johnson a spectator now. This for Brown of the Dodgers is his 5th All-Star appearance. A ball and 2 strikes.
Kevin Brown has a great fastball, 2 different fastballs. He throws a great sinking fastball and a riding fastball, one that stays up, and he throws a slider. There's a sinker down. When you want a competitor on the mound, this is the guy that you think about. I mean, this guy wants the ball, he knows how to win, and he likes to pitch the tough games.
Rolled foul, still 2-2. Dave Winfield made the play. He's the honorary American League coach tonight, and he's on the lines at first base.
Number 97 in the LCS here, Kevin Brown argued with Jim Leland to stay in the ball game, and then he went out and won the ball game for the Marlins, and they went on to defeat the Braves in the LCS.
If it's pleasantries you want, Kevin Brown is not your man. If it's a tough competitor you're looking for, he's one of the best. Full count to Alomar. Brown was the winning pitcher in the 1992 All-Star Game. He was a member of the Texas Rangers then. And he walks Alomar.
Good eye there by Alomar.
Here's Robbie Alomar. This is symptomatic of the modern game. He's a fabulous player, an 11-time All-Star. He's been an All-Star with 4 different teams. The Padres, the Blue Jays, the Orioles, and now the Indians.
And that is unusual for a guy of his caliber because, I mean, he is a superstar player.
Now here's Jeter, who doubled his first time up. Hits one through the middle. Alomar's going to stop at second. 2 on with 1 out. And Jeter's 2 for 2.
Derek Jeter is definitely a free swinger. The first pitch he sees that he thinks he can hit hard, I mean, he swings at it. He doesn't take a lot of pitches. And he grounds this right back through the middle. Kevin Brown started the sinker off the plate outside and it moved back over the plate. And he hits it right back up the middle.
So now an RBI chance for Bernie Williams, who's knocked home 80 already this season.
What's interesting, Bob, is over the last couple of years the Yankees have won the World Championship. They really didn't have a legitimate MVP candidate. Now I think they do. I think Bernie Williams is definitely an MVP candidate. Derek Jeter and Williams were both kind of head-to-head the last couple of years, but I think Bernie Williams is definitely a candidate to be the MVP.
Strike one to Williams, who grounded to short, batting right-handed against Randy Johnson in the first.
There you see his numbers. Last year, 115 runs batted in, and right now he's on pace to drive in 150 or so. But as you mentioned, a lot of guys are on pace to drive in 140 to 50.
You got to adjust these numbers for inflation, the same way you would prices or salaries. A called strike, 0-2.
I guess if you made $100,000 a year in 1970, you were rich. Make $100,000 now, you're not rich anymore.
Still doing all right.
Still doing all right, and that's the way these numbers are reflective of the hitters.
A ball and 2 strikes to Bernie Williams, the American League, trying to break through against a tough customer in Kevin Brown, who was allowed 3 runs or less in all but 1 of his starts this year. He always gives his team a chance to win. Good speed on the bases. Alomar away from second. Jeter off of first. And a fastball is high, 2-2. Jason Giambi from Oakland is on deck. The 2-2 pitch. Fouled off. With Bernie Williams at the plate, we're reminded of the Yankees situation. They played well in the last week prior to the All-Star game, edged back into first place. And while they have a chance to return to the World Series, they are not the prohibitive favorites they have been in recent years. They've come back to the pack a bit. Another 2-2 pitch and another foul ball.
Well, the Yankees have set the bar so high that, you know, the last couple of years they won 114 games 2 years ago, so everyone kind of figures they're supposed to do that every year. That's very difficult to do. They had a lot of things go their way to win those 114 ball games, but they're still a veteran team that knows how to win, so I expect them to be there at the end, and I expect them to play very well in August and September.
And when you've got Mariano Rivera, who we saw there with his battery mate Jorge Posada, that gives you an edge over most teams in the majors, especially when a pennant race moves into the stretch. Again on 2-2. A little squibber toward Chipper Jones. He goes to the bag for the force. He fires across the diamond, and Williams beats it there. 2 on with 2 out.
Well, this ball is, he jams him, so Chipper has to wait for it. Now he grabs it, he goes to the bag, but Bernie Williams runs well. Chipper makes the play perfectly, but Williams runs well, and he beats the play at first base. Nice play by Chipper. He made the right choice. He couldn't have gotten a double play going second to first, so he wiped out the lead runner.
Here's Giambi, who fanned against Randy Johnson in the first. Ball 1 to him.
And after hitting against Randy Johnson, it must look like Kevin Brown's throwing underhand if you're a left-handed hitter.
Swing and a miss, 1-1.
Another good sinker from Kevin.
Brown throws what players call a heavy ball.
Very heavy, and this ball here just explodes down. See, it's a strike. It's up above the knees, and by the time he swings at it, it's well below the knees.
Missed the inside corner, 2-1. To show you what kind of logjam of talent there is at first base, especially in the American League, these are the American League first basemen not here. Rafael Palmeiro, Frank Thomas, John Olerud, Mo Vaughn, all having big seasons.
And I am personally disappointed that Frank's not here, because he's on the team with the best record in all of baseball, and he has great numbers. So I really think that your team doing as well as his team has, and he has a chance to be the MVP in the league, I think that's sending a bad message. I think it's about team and the guys that are winning or helping their teams win.
full count to the American League starting first baseman tonight, the A's Jason Giambi.
Well, the fact that Giambi was selected to start and Jermaine Dye, you know, supposedly two small market teams, I think that's great also. The fans are very knowledgeable. They're rewarding players who are playing well, even if they are in a small market.
The runners go on the payoff pitch, and they'll have to come back. Pitching in Atlanta always means something to Kevin Brown. He's from McIntyre, Georgia, which is near Macon, and which has a listed population of 552. If you're a big leaguer of any description, you've got a pretty good chance to be the most important guy from McIntyre, with only 551 others in competition. But if you're Kevin Brown, no contest. The bases are loaded on the walk. In contrast to his predecessors, who have breezed through their inning of work, Brown has now thrown 23 pitches here in the third. Here's Carl Everett, who would have been on the team in any case, but got a chance to start after the Indians' Manny Ramirez turned up hurt. Ball 1-2. Jeter at third, Williams at second. Giambi, who walked to load him up, is at first. Up and in, 2-0. The last Grand Slam in All-Star competition, you saw the graphic a moment ago, is also still the only one, remarkably enough, 1983 at the old Comiskey Park by Freddie Lynn off Atlee Hammaker. Now Carl Everett, the former Astro, is hitting .329 for the Red Sox. Sitting on a 2-0 pitch from Brown that misses.
Sometimes you get in an All-Star game, and as a pitcher, your adrenaline's flowing and you overthrow a little bit. And I think that's what's happening to Kevin Brown, because he never has trouble with his control.
Do you give an All-Star the take sign on 3-0?
Yes.
No.
Man. 3-0 with the bases loaded and 2 outs.
He was wailing.
High fastball, and he can't catch up with it.
And he can't catch up with that one either. Top of the third, no score. Bases loaded, 2 out, and a 3-2 pitch coming from Kevin Brown to Carl Everett. The runners go, and he pops it up. Let's see if it stays in. It won't.
Look, Carl.
Hot and muggy night in Atlanta. Sweat pouring from Carl Everett.
Actually, if you're a player, Bob, you love it like this. Very easy to get loose. And this is the type of weather that you love to play baseball in.
Everett has hit 24 homers this year. From the last 2 swings, it appears he's looking to touch one off here tonight. He'll settle for an RBI walk. Jeter comes across. 1-0 American League.
That's the 3rd walk this inning.
And it brings a visit from Bobby Cox. Derek Jeter receiving congratulations. He's 2 for 2, and he scored the game's first run. It never gets any easier in an All-Star game. Now Brown has to work to Ivan Rodriguez. Pudge had an opposite field single in his only at bat thus far. Ball one. As great as Rodriguez is behind the plate, one of the best ever, there's been talk for a while of converting him to a second baseman to try and prolong his career. And he says he wants to go to the Bucky Dent Baseball School in the offseason to work on playing the infield and also to work on switch hitting. If it ain't broke, why fix it? He slashes this one to center, but Jim Edmonds is there to end the inning. The Americans score 1 and leave 3. After 2.5, they lead it 1-0. Interest in the USA Olympic baseball team will be increased by the presence of Tommy Lasorda. As the team's manager, we'll be seeing him in Sydney in a little more than 2 months.
Bob, I saw him a couple of weeks ago in L.A., and he said he's going to have his players so fired up they're going to think they're the 1927 Yankees.
They may need it versus Cuba, Japan, even the host nation Australia is growing stronger in baseball. The White Sox James Baldwin is the new American League pitcher. Joe Torre told us before the game he wants to get Baldwin in early, and he's done that because Baldwin's wife is expecting a baby any moment. He's going to hop on a plane before this game is over back to Chicago as soon as his stint is done.
And for James, it'll be his second child. He has a son, James III.
Jeffrey Hammonds of the Rockies, a late addition, swings on the 3-0 pitch and fouls it off. He's pinch hitting for Kevin Brown. Those 65 RBIs have come in 64 games. How much do he and his teammates like to hit at Coors Field? Fly ball shallow right. Jermaine Dye for the catch. And it's begun to rain lightly now. Not enough for the umbrellas to pop out just yet, but there was a chance of rain in the forecast. Quick thunderstorm came through about 3:30 this afternoon. Here are some folks who've come prepared. Back to the top of the order for Barry Larkin. At age 36, he's still his league's best shortstop. In the American League, he'd have heavier competition. When a guy like Omar Vizquel can't make the All-Star team, that tells you what's going on in the AL at that position.
I think James Baldwin has been a real big factor for the Chicago White Sox. As we mentioned, they have the best record in baseball, and he's been their staff leader.
2-2.
And he's a guy that they always felt had a lot of potential, but had never realized his potential. And this year, he's pitching great.
His record is 11-4. His ERA a bit over 4, which is acceptable these days.
It's about winning, and he is winning.
As is his team. Baldwin's picked up some baseball insight from an interesting source. He's developed a friendship with the 97-year-old Negro League legend Ted Double Duty Radcliffe, so named because in a doubleheader he once caught the first game and pitched the second. Pop back of second, and Alomar makes the play. So James Baldwin says, I don't really converse with Double Duty. I just sit there and listen. Some of those old Negro Leaguers, Buck O'Neill perhaps foremost among them, spin the greatest yarns, have the greatest appreciation for the game. If you're ever in Kansas City and have a chance to drop by the Negro League Museum there, it's a wonderful way to spend a day if you're a baseball fan.
Some of my greatest moments, Bob, were the times that I was able to sit and listen to Satchel Paige before he passed away, talking about the Negro Leagues. they do have some great stories to tell.
Chipper Jones had a single his first time up. Baldwin's 2-0 pitch. Hit in the air toward the gap in left center field and carrying pretty well, and this ball is gone. Hometown hero ties it at 1.
Bob, I believe that most hitters now are better low ball hitters because they're lifting. Here's a low fastball out over the middle of the plate, and Chipper Jones lifts it into the left field seats for a home run.
When it left the bat, it looked like a gapper. But it had enough to get over the wall at about the 380 sign, and now Guerrero spanks a single through the hole on the left side. Here's Sammy, who struck out looking against David Wells in the first. Cuts and misses. Tied at 1, last half of the third. And a called strike 0-2. The last time Baldwin faced Sammy Sosa, Sammy clouded a homer to dead center field off him this past Saturday at Wrigley Field. The Cubs really roughed Baldwin up in that outing, his last outing prior to the All-Star game. He lifts it into shallow right. Alomar sprinting toward the line from second base, and he has it. We're tied at 1 after Chipper Jones went deep to the opposite field.
That ball's gone, man. All right. Come on, Sammy.
Bobby Cox, not just a good manager, could be an announcer. Said that one was gone. He was right. This live view is courtesy of the Bud One Airship, the beer with the fresh, clean taste that's never filling. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Here's Jim Gray.
All right, down in the dugout with Bobby Cox. Bobby, how much of a nightmare is it for you, not only before the game, but now during the game, to juggle this roster?
Well, it's a little bit more difficult, Jim, in the National League. With the American League, you can almost script your lineup exactly. You could tell the players which inning they're going to hit in and play in or pitch in. The National League's a little bit different. You know, because the pitcher has to hit, then you want to double switch and things like that, as we did with Gary. And now we might get Gary 3 at-bats tonight. If we can score a couple runs, Sheffield get 3.
Even though it's tough to get all the guys in, a lot of people talk about expanding the roster. Would you like to see that?
I think it's big enough at 30 right now. You know, if you expand it to 35, you still have 6 guys that were disappointed. So 28 was a little rough. 30, I think, just about right.
All right, Bobby, we'll let you get back to managing. Check in with you later.
Thanks.
Bob, upstairs to you.
Jim, thank you. The Gary that Bobby Cox referred to as the new left fielder, Gary Sheffield of the Dodgers, who takes over for Vladimir Guerrero. Sheffield will hit 9th, and the new pitcher, Al Leiter from the Mets, will occupy the 3rd spot in the order. 3 balls and a strike to Jermaine Dye. There are no red lights tonight.
I agree. Maybe they may not even have any signs.
You are swinging on every pitch. We've seen several cuts on 3-0 already. And Dye has a leadoff walk. Well, Joe, the last time the All-Star game was played in Atlanta over at the old ballpark, a hometown player hit a home run. It wasn't just any hometown player. It was Henry Aaron back in 1972. And it's happened again 28 years later. With the All-Star game returning to Atlanta, Chipper Jones' home run is tied it at 1. Here's the Indians' Travis Fryman, the starting 3rd baseman. Hit hard. Jeff Kent has it come up on him and gets by him. Dye will stop at 2nd.
Well, Kent goes over, tries to get in front of it and knock it down. Ball's hit sharply right back through the middle by Fryman. If Kent comes up with it, it's a double play, but he slides into it and it goes on into center field for a base hit.
So with runners at first and second and nobody out, Joe Torre goes to his bench again, and here's Kansas City's Mike Sweeney, a converted catcher, now playing first base and hitting a mere .360. Ball 1 to him. Sweeney fouls it off. Our spies down by the American League dugout heard Joe Torre say to Mike Sweeney, with runners at first and second in a tie game and nobody out, hey, we don't even have a bunt sign. Go up there and swing.
Well, that fits Joe Torre. When he was a player, he liked to swing too. He wasn't much for bunting.
If you had Joe's speed or lack thereof, you wouldn't want to lay one down either. A ball and 2 strikes. Sweeney at age 26, making his first All-Star appearance. And here's Leiter's 1-2 pitch to him. Larkin at short. Bobbles it. Everybody's safe. Bases loaded. They had a shot at the double play. The force should have been a certainty. Instead, they get nothing.
Well, I think that was because Barry was looking up and anticipating he was going to take the ball and step on second. Let's see if he looks up a little quickly here. No, he just missed it. The ball came up on him a little bit. But he was going to make the play himself. He was going to go to second base. So he's going to catch it and go to second. He's not going to flip it to the second baseman. But the ball took a little erratic hop and it hit off the heel of his glove.
So with the bases juiced and nobody out, here's Alomar, who swings on the first one and pops it up. Infield fly rule as it's taken by Galarraga. So Robbie's now 0 for 2 with a walk, and it brings up Jeter, who's 2 for 2. He's doubled and singled and scored the game's first run on the top of the 3rd. A line drive, and he's 3 for 3. 1 run home. Fryman being waved in. It's 3-1 American League. Jeter has knocked in 2 and scored the other.
So he's kind of justifying the faith that Joe Torre had in starting him in this ball game. He's a first ball hitter. He gets a fastball pretty much in the middle of the plate, and he lines it to left field for a base hit in left center field.
Here's Bernie Williams. He's 0 for 2. A little nubber in front of the plate. Kendall pounces on it, throws him out. The runners move up to second and third. So Bernie Williams is now 0 for 3. And it's up to Jason Giambi, who struck out and walked. Fastball inside. Al Leiter comes into this game with a record of 10-2 and the third best ERA in the National League. He goes off speed and Giambi rolls it foul.
Normally this could be a ball game deciding situation because if you get ahead 5-1, but with so many great hitters on both sides, a 4-run deficit is not impossible to overcome.
And getting everyone into the game, or nearly everyone into the game, is more of an objective now than it was when you were playing.
Yeah, before you made sure you would win the ball game or get a comfortable lead, then you would make the changes.
He tipped it back into Kendall's glove. Jason held onto it. The strikeout ends the inning. The American League scores 2 and leaves 2. And they lead by 2 going to the bottom of the 4th.
The 2000 Major League Baseball All-Star Game is brought to you by Coors Light, proud partner of the John Wayne Cancer Institute and their search for a cure. By MasterCard. MasterCard, proud sponsor of Major League Baseball and fan of the great American pastime. By Registered.com, your first step on the web. And by the all-new Chevy Monte Carlo, the side you show the world is up to you.
Changes as we move to the bottom of the 4th. Jason Giambi made the last out, and he's coming out of the game. So too is Travis Fryman, replaced at third base by the Angels' Troy Gloss. Gloss will bat in Fryman's spot, which is the 8th spot in the order. Carlos Delgado replaces Giambi at first, but Delgado will hit 9th. And the new pitcher, Aaron Seeley from the Mariners, will occupy the 4th spot in the batting order. Jeff Kent leads it off in the last half of the 4th. 3-1 American League.
There's a great curveball that Seeley uses, especially against right-handed hitters. He has one of the best curveballs in baseball.
Kent grounded to first in his only at bat. That one's high, 2-1. Check swing foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the Giants' second baseman. The new American League pitcher, Aaron Seeley, is having a fine season for the Mariners, who have surprised a lot of people with a great start in the American League West, even after losing Ken Griffey Jr. Seeley is 11-3 after winning 19 and then 18 games the previous 2 seasons for Texas. Full count. Andres Galarraga will follow Kent, and then the Cardinals' Jim Edmonds. Check swing roller right side. Robbie Alomar scoops it up and throws him out as some lightning streaks through the sky overhead, causing some fans to shudder. We go to Jimmy Roberts, who will cause no one to shudder. Jimmy.
Thanks very much, Bob. And Alex Rodriguez joins us in the dugout. A spectator tonight, voted to start here. How difficult is it to be in a dugout for a game like this and not play at all?
Well, it's tough, but it's good to see the guys. You know, it's my 4th All-Star, and I'm just happy to be here as a representative of the American League. And more than anything, it's my way of thanking the fans for selecting me the starter.
Derek Jeter, your replacement as starter, is having a heck of a game. A little scouting report. What do you see from the dugout?
Well, I'm very happy for Derek. This is the first time he gets an actual chance to start, and he's putting on a great show. He's a potential candidate for the MVP so far, so he's a great fan. I'm glad he gets an opportunity to play.
He is 3 for 3. Real quickly, your physical condition, perhaps a concussion, some problems with your knee. Will you play when the season resumes in San Diego?
I hope so. My head is still a little funny after that goofy slide over there in Seattle, but I thank the Lord that I have the opportunity to still be here, and my knees a little better. Hopefully, if not San Diego, Jimmy, I'll put probably Monday in Phoenix.
Very good. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck in the second half of the season. Bob, back to you.
Jimmy, thanks very much. Andres Galarraga bounced a single up the middle. He's taken out for pinch runner Todd Helton from the Colorado Rockies, who will take over, no doubt, at first base. One last round of applause from the home fans for Galarraga, and now here's Edmonds. Ball 1 high and away. Edmonds had a single his first time up. 2-0. A pop wide of third. Troy Gloss makes the catch right at the railing.
And in the background, you could hear Jim Edwards saying, "Get out of here, get out of here." Nice play by Troy Gloss. He finds the rail first. He has to know where that railing is, and then he leans over. And he gets a little snow cone there. Edmonds disappointed that he doesn't get another swing.
And here's Jason Kendall, who struck out his first time. Bounces one toward Gloss. Foul ball.
Smart play by Gloss. He had no chance to throw Kendall out. So what he did, he jumped into foul territory, give the umpire a clean view. Now watch. He wants the umpire to see. Gives him a clean view that the ball is foul. He doesn't want to get his body between the umpire and the ball, so the umpire would make a bad call. He jumps out of the way, lets him see it.
Helton running for Galarraga at first with 2 out. Kendall starting for Mike Piazza. Mike Lieberthal of the Phillies is the backup, and Joe Girardi, a late addition, as the third catcher from the Cubs. Broken back ground ball. Jeter charges, throws on the run, and gets him. 4 complete in Atlanta. The American League trying to make it 4 in a row and leading 3-1.
MLB at Home is presented by Flonase Allergy Relief. Get 24-hour all-in-one allergy relief with Flonase.
Jim Gray back at Turner Field in the All-Star Game, and I'm here with the man of the evening, Braves first baseman Andres Galarraga. What a reception you received. What went through your mind?
Well, the first thing when I get into the home plate, even when I go into the line with my family, with my kids, Andrea, Catherine, Adriana, my eyes getting wet and all my body just cold. I mean, it's a really special moment for myself, for my family, also for all those people that believe in me to come back to play baseball. Thanks God, thanks the Virgin to hold me to stay healthy, to be here in this game.
When last year you were diagnosed with the cancer in your back, what was your realistic hope? Was it simply to get healthy, or was it to return to baseball as well?
Always I've been thinking I want to come back to play baseball. That's what I love to do. I love this game so much. And always I say I want to be on the first day and opening day in the lineup. And thanks God, helped me to stay healthy.
Will anything top this moment for you?
Probably not the All-Star Game in that situation, but to be in the lineup, to hold my team. And yes, and the sooner I start hitting the ball hard, the sooner I start hitting home run, I said, well, I have a chance to make it the All-Star Game. And thanks God I make this thing.
Andres, congratulations to you, and everybody's thrilled that you're back at good health and out playing again.
Great, thank you very much.
All right, Bob, back upstairs to you.
All right, Jim, with the Big Cats Atlanta teammate Tom Glavine, the new pitcher. Carl Everett bounces out to the new second baseman, the Mets' Edgardo Alfonzo. The Braves' Andrew Jones is in center field. Todd Helton, who ran for Galarraga, remains in the game at first base, and Mike Lieberthal of the Phillies is the new catcher. If you're scoring at home, stop. Here's Rodriguez. Single to right and line hard to center. Tom Glavine at age 34 continues to build Hall of Fame credentials. 2-time Cy Young Award winner, 4-time 20-game winner, and now a 7-time All-Star. He's 9-5 this year for the Braves. 2-0.
And Tom Glavine has been pitching the same as long as I've seen him pitch, and that is he tails the ball to the outside corner, changes speeds, and just keeps the hitters off balance. He's not a mystery to the hitters. It's just that it's too difficult for them to handle all the pitches that he throws.
And he falls behind 3-0. Swinging on the 3-0 pitch. Rodriguez lifts one to right. But Sammy Sosa puts it away for out number 2. The U.S. Olympic track and field trials begin on Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern and Pacific here on NBC. 100-meter semifinals and finals. Want to see Marion Jones? You want to see Maurice Green? You want to see them blaze? Saturday night on NBC.
Well, most people have said Marion Jones was going to win 100, but Ingram Miller says she has something for her.
Joe, you're all over it. Can we book you a flight to Sydney? Two out, nobody on. And a ball and a strike to Jermaine Dye, who's 0 for 1 with a walk. Bobby Cox said he knew Jermaine Dye would one day be an all-star caliber player, even before they traded him away to Kansas City. This is his first all-star appearance at age 26. Glavin's ahead of him 1-2.
Bob, the Braves got Michael Tucker back for him, and Michael Tucker helped them, you know, get to the World Series. So it was still a pretty good trade, although Jermaine Dye is now an all-star. Michael Tucker's still doing a good job for the Cincinnati Reds.
Jermaine Dye reaches the break at 319 with 22 home runs. Of course, there are 37 players in baseball now with 20 or more home runs at the midway point. 2-2. There are 11 hitting .350 or better. And as I mentioned earlier, 46 with 60 or more RBIs. The 2-2 pitch. Struck him out. Glavin comes in, works a perfect fit. Halfway through, 3-1 Americans.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else. Why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase Sensimist. Nothing stronger, nothing gentler, nothing lasts longer. Flonase Sensimist. 24-hour non-drowsy allergy relief.
Back in Atlanta at the All-Star Game, the American League leading the Nationals 3-1 in no small part because of the efforts of Derek Jeter. 3 for 3, 2 RBI, 1 run scored. Are you going to mop the floors in the dugout when we're done here too?
No, I don't think so. It's great to be here and have the opportunity to play in the All-Star Game. You look at all the great shortstops in this league. You know, you don't take it for granted. You don't know if you're ever going to get a chance to come back, let alone start.
What's the best part about coming here and playing in these things? I mean, this has become routine for you now.
Well, I don't know if it's routine. I mean, there's so many great players, and I feel like a little kid when I get a chance to come because you're sort of stargaze and see all these great players on the same field at the same time.
The Yankees have had so many great seasons over the last 4 years. However, this year you guys actually do look mortal. Can you give us some kind of explanation as to why perhaps the Yankees aren't as invulnerable and bulletproof as you have been in the past?
To tell you the truth, I mean, winning is not easy. We've made it look kind of easy throughout the last 4 years, but it's very difficult. We play in a tough division. Boston and Toronto are giving us a great race this year, but you know, we haven't been playing our best baseball and we're still tied for first, so hopefully better things will come.
In the pregame show, we saw a little bit feature of you and Garcia-Parra and A-Rod, and we saw that your batting, you imitated Garcia-Parra's batting stance. It looks like he's going to do the same to you. We saw him practicing in the dugout.
Well, I don't know. I tried his last year and I struck out, and I told him he doesn't have any problems with his own, so I think he should stick with his own stance.
All right, Derek, thanks very much for joining us. Nice night. Bob, back to you.
Jimmy, thanks. Jason Isringhausen, former Met, now the A's closer, is the new American League pitcher. This is Gary Sheffield's first at-bat of the night. Wig-wagging that bat in distinctive fashion, fouling it off. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Trying to keep track of the changes. Nomar Garcia-Parra is the new shortstop. Ray Durham of the White Sox, the new second baseman. The White Sox Maglio Ordonez is in right field. Darren Erstad, that's Durham at second base. And Darren Erstad of the Angels is in left field. Full count.
Bobby, they took Jeter out. He had 3 base hits. The record for hits in an All-Star game is 4. Joe Medwick, Ted Williams, and Carl Yastrzemski all had 4 base hits in an All-Star game.
3-2 pitch. Fouled away. Well, I remember the days when Willie Mays or Roberto Clemente would play the entire game. You couldn't get Willie out of there. If it went 12 innings, he wanted to play all 12. Now the idea for the most part is to give everybody a chance if at all possible. And Isringhausen walks Sheffield to start the National League fifth.
Bob, I had a conversation with Willie Mays a couple of years ago, and I asked him what did he miss most about the game, and he said the All-Star game. He said that was his time to shine for the people in the American League who didn't get a chance to see him every year, every day.
Well, with interleague play now, and so many games on television, cable and over the air, so many highlight shows, there's almost no such thing as a seldom seen star.
Unless you play in Montreal and you're Jose Vidro or
Vladimir Guerrero.
Jim Edmonds.
Going high tech. Documenting his second All-Star appearance.
The Latin connection.
Larkin has popped out twice. Isringhausen misses way high. Well, you think about this. You go over to most people's houses and they show you their home movies. They're romping at the beach in bad bathing suits on vacation. At least Edmonds has home movies from the All-Star game.
Well, thank goodness for years ago they took those movies and we had those series when it was a game. We were able to see Mickey Mantle and some of the players of yesteryear play in All-Star games and play before ball games.
And when you saw color footage of Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth, which we previously didn't think existed, it was stunning. Two and one to Barry Larkin. And the count evens at 2-2. Sheffield, who walked, is at first with nobody out. Larkin is the tying run at the plate. He's hit 8 home runs this year. Chipper Jones, who's 2 for 2 with a homer, will be next. And the count is full.
But if you're in the National League, this may be an opportunity for you to do something here. Barry Larkin really uses the bat well. Gary Sheffield runs well. And you're down, you may be able to get something started here.
He goes, and Larkin lifts it wide of first.
God damn.
And it's Rodriguez who comes over to make the catch. The first baseman, Delgado, had a crack at it, but Rodriguez, the Gold Glove catcher, snared it.
Normally you want the guy with the soft glove to make the catch, but Rodriguez handles his catching glove so well it's an easy play for him. There you see Delgado come into the play, but Rodriguez outreaches him. Nice play there by Ivan Rodriguez. I like the fact that they did try to hit and run there. Try to get something started. You're down 3-1. Let's make something happen.
And he's going on the first pitch to Chipper Jones, which is fouled off. The play you saw a moment ago by Ivan Rodriguez, further evidence, if any was needed, as to why he's won 8 Gold Gloves. And he's still a couple of years shy of his 30th birthday.
I don't think that was a hit and run there. I thought Gary Sheffield just got a great jump on Isringhausen and just took off. And Chipper Jones found a pitch he thought he could hammer, and he swung at it. That play didn't develop like a hit and run.
Not going this time, and a called strike 2. The managers tonight have seen their own guys do well. Galarraga was 1 for 2 for Bobby Cox while he was in there. Joe Torre has seen Derek Jeter get 3 hits, knock in 2 and score 1. And Chipper Jones has a single, now a second single plus a homer. So he, like Jeter, 3 for 3.
A breaking ball from Isenhausen. This allows Chipper Jones to be able to pull it to the right side with the hole open over there. You see Delgado holding Sheffield at first base. That opened up the hole there, and he got the breaking ball and he pulled it in the hole.
So Sheffield at second, Chipper Jones at first with 1 out in the bottom of the 5th, and Andrew Jones for his first at bat. He's hitting .312 with 23 home runs. Ball 1.
And it seems like Andrew Jones been around forever, Bob, because we saw him at an early age hitting home runs in the World Series, and he has continued to improve every year.
He's only 23. Line drive, base hit. Here comes Sheffield. That'll make it 3-2. Chipper Jones stops at second.
Looked like a hanging breaking ball again from Isenhausen, and he lines it into center field for a base hit. Yeah, that's what it is, a hanging breaking ball. And he lines it back in the center field, and he gets an RBI and brings the National League 1 run closer.
Atlanta hitters 5 for 6 in this game. Chipper Jones 3 for 3. Andrew Jones 1 for 1. Galarraga was 1 for 2. Here's Sosa. Struck out, popped out. Mets Edgardo Alfonzo is on deck. The former Met Isringhausen in a 5th inning jam. Big cut and a miss.
Good high fastball there from Isringhausen. If you've got a good fastball, I still think the good high fastball is still the toughest pitch to hit. That was 97 miles an hour on the fastball, so that's very difficult to hit if it's upstairs.
Here's the 1-1. Hit in the air to deep right field. It's dying out there. And that'll be the second out.
He must have got that ball off the end of the bat.
Yeah, because the crowd.
Well, not just the crowd, the sound was good. It sounded like he hit it well, but listen to this sound.
But you know what? Sammy didn't do that little jump coming out of the box. So he knew that Maglio Ordonez from the crosstown White Sox was going to have no problem with it. Chipper Jones tagged and moved from second to third. Runners at the corners with 2 out. And here's Alfonzo hitting .318. You look at these second basemen. Alfonzo, Jeff Kent, Jose Vidro. Even a guy like Luis Castillo from the Marlins who didn't make the team and he's batting .369. You used to be the only guy who could hit .300 and pop 25 homers in a season and play Gold Glove second base.
These guys are all bigger than I was. I mean, there's Jeff Kent. I mean, he's leading the league in RBIs. Look at that. Jose Vidro is the one that I'm most impressed with. This guy, according to Felipe Alou, has unlimited potential like Vladimir Guerrero, and because he plays in Montreal, no one knows who he is.
.20 pitch, way outside. It wasn't that long ago. If you could turn the double play, handle the bat a little bit, that 265, 270, you could play second base for pennant-winning teams.
And you were a star.
And seasons like those you had in the mid-70s or Ryne Sandberg put together for a whole career were a rarity for a second baseman. Now it's becoming nearly commonplace. Another cut on a 3-0 pitch, fouled off.
Bob, there's no doubt in my mind that because the players today are bigger and stronger, that you are going to see a lot of second basemen and the middle infielders put up some big numbers. Alex Rodriguez, 40 home runs, 40 stolen bases. I mean, he's the first infielder to ever do that. So you have the potential with these young guys being bigger and stronger to be able to put up some great numbers.
Isringhausen trying to protect what is now a 1-run lead, and his 3-1 pitch is popped up. Delgado in foul ground, right by the railing to take it. So the National League pushes a run across, and after 5, the Americans lead it 3-2. As we look toward the Olympics in Sydney, 4 years ago, Turner Field was Centennial Olympic Stadium, site of the '96 games, and site of the 71st All-Star Game tonight, with the American League leading it 3-2 as we move to the 6th. Changes galore. The new third baseman is Jeff Cirillo from the Colorado Rockies. The new shortstop is the Cardinals' Edgar Renteria, who was added when Mark McGwire was scratched. In right field, replacing Sammy Sosa, who's done for the night, is the former Indian, now Pirate, Brian Giles. And the new pitcher is the Cardinals' Darryl Kyle, who has a record of 11-5. And here's the Angels' Troy Glaus. Tapping it foul. Speaking of the Olympics, Glaus was on the '96 U.S. Olympic team and hit 4 home runs over at Fulton County Stadium, where the Olympic baseball games were played in '96 as the U.S. team took bronze here in Atlanta. A ball and a strike. Rolled towards short. Quick chance for Renteria just into the game, and he throws Glaus out. And we throw it over to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you, Bob. A man who's in his own dugout had a home run in his own ballpark. What kind of a throw was that in an All-Star game, Chipper?
It's unbelievable. You know, any All-Star home run is very exciting, but to do it here in a home ballpark, it's doubly special.
You said before we came on, it's as great a thrill as that of a World Series?
Well, I only got 1 home run in the World Series, and that was off the Yankees, and their whole team could be here representing the American League anyway, so it's the same thing. They're both pretty comparable.
Chipper, let me ask you, you guys have sustained an excellence for an awful long time, particularly throughout the regular season the past decade. How have you guys been so resilient with all of the changes that have gone on throughout baseball?
You just got to give a lot of credit to the front office, to the players that we brought in for fitting in right away, to continue the excellence that we've had, not to mention the core of players that have been here all along, the Glavins, the Smoltzes, the Maddixes, the young guys coming up, myself, Klesko, Andrew Jones. I mean, we got something special working we don't ever want to end.
All right, Chipper, congratulations tonight. Look forward to seeing you in the second half of the season.
Thank you.
All right, Bob, back upstairs to you.
All right, Jim and Chipper, our thanks to you. 2 balls and a strike to Carlos Delgado from the Toronto Blue Jays. That one misses 3-1.
Bob,
what has Delgado done this season, you ask? Oh, merely hit .363 and lead the American League with 28 home runs.
And he's another special player that plays in Canada that doesn't get all the accolades that he deserves.
He pokes that one the opposite way in foul ground, and there's no play. Except for the fans chasing after the souvenir.
Look at those numbers, 2 guys that play in Canada. Carlos Delgado, not only does he have all those great numbers, but he's also the leader of that ball club. He's the captain of the team. I mean, he is just a leader. He's a young guy that came up through the organization and has just been a great player for them.
bounced foul. This takes nothing away from the great performances of the great athletes in this game. But baseball has always been a sport where it was possible to compare the great players from era to era. It's always safest to compare guys to their contemporaries, but you could make educated guesses over the decades. I really don't think that's possible anymore. I think it's not just apples and oranges, it's apples and grapefruits. Starting around 1994, what's taken place in baseball might as well have occurred on another planet. From the early 40s to the early 90s, a period of 50 years, 3 guys slugged 700 for a season, and their names were Musial, Mantle, and Williams, and they each did it once. In fact, from 1958 through 1993, it was never done. That's out of play. Since 1994, there have been 6 seasons where someone has slugged 700, 6 individual performances. This year, 5 guys are slugging 700 or more at the break. 2 more are above 690. And as a frame of reference, 690 was Babe Ruth's lifetime slugging percentage. Speaking of slugging, this one is whacked to right, off the wall on the fly. Delgado sprints for second.
Well, one thing I wanted to point out, he hits the ball so hard. The ball even sounds different coming off of his bat. I mean, that's a pretty good pitch there from Kyle down and away. And he just rips it. The only reason it didn't go out, he didn't get it high enough, and he still only missed about 2 feet. Let's listen to this sound. He thinks it's gone, but it's not high enough. He knew he hit it hard enough to get it out. He just didn't get it high enough.
Here's the White Sox fine leadoff man, Ray Durham. First pitch swinging, lifts a pop-up. Cirillo in foul ground. That's the second out. Well, let's see what Nomar Garciaparra can do after Derek Jeter went 3 for 3. He said he might imitate Jeter's stance and mannerisms in the box. Let's see if he does.
I don't know if he can change his style. Look, he kicks, he grabs at his gloves, he kicks his toes. Jeter doesn't do any of this.
No, this is a Jeter imitation. At least a modified attempt. And a line drive to left. Taken out there by Sheffield.
Well, he thinks it's 2 outs. And he's right. Everybody else is going back. I'm looking at Delgado. I'm looking at Delgado run back to second base.
Well, it's the All-Star game. A few folks' heads are elsewhere. Matt Lawton of the Twins is in center field now. Bernie Williams out. Juan Rodriguez is done for the night, and Jorge Posada of the Yankees is the new catcher. And the Red Sox 6'6" right-hander Derek Lowe will pitch the bottom half of the 6th. The first man he faces is the National League's leading hitter, the Rockies' Todd Helton, who lines it sharply at Garciaparra. Now, as a public service, let us split screen the batting stances and styles of Derek Jeter and Nomar Garciaparra, and I withdraw my earlier comment.
I'm glad you're withdrawing him, Bob, because we'll see 2 different styles here. You see Jeter, a lot of bat movement at the top. Garciaparra, a lot of bat movement before he starts. And once he gets set, he's pretty still back there compared to Jeter. But they both look very good in swinging the bat. They both hit a line drive. Garciaparra's was caught, but Jeter had 3 base hits while he was in there.
Mike Lieberthal from the Phillies, hitting .301 with 13 homers thrown in, takes a strike. A little pop. Troy Glass with the easy chance. Tonight, following the All-Star game and your late local news, it's the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Jay's guests tonight include Richard Simmons. That's the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, following your late local news on NBC.
Speaking of late shows, I've been watching you. You've been every place lately. Time I turn on my television, you're on some show.
Some of those are repeats. I can't do anything about it.
Okay.
They just pull them off the shelf.
Well, tell them.
I have no say so.
Well, tell them to put repeat on it so I won't watch them.
Nobody's frozen the remote in your hand. Here's Brian Giles, who's hitting .317. A bouncer, Garcia Parra, can't come up with it. Well, Larkin made an error at shortstop earlier for the National League, and it looks like this one is E6 for Nomar.
Well, Nomar gets there in plenty of time. He reaches out with one hand, hits him on the heel of his glove. He definitely got there in time. See right there off the heel of his glove.
So each team has now been charged with an error. 3 runs on 6 hits for the American League, 2 7-1 for the National. Here's Sheffield, who walked his first time. It takes strike 1 from Derek Lowe, whose record is 2-3, but the important stat is the saves, and he's closed 19 Boston victories. A big chopper, another chance for Nomar. He pegs it to Delgado to take care of Sheffield. Through 6 in Atlanta, still 3-2 American League. We're back after these words from your local station. You're watching the 2000 All-Star Game on NBC. Steve Finley of the National League West leading Arizona Diamondbacks is the new left fielder, replacing Gary Sheffield. Matt Lawton of the Twins will start it here. And he slices it foul.
Bob, I think this is another one of those good feeling stories about Matt Lawton. He got hit in the jaw last year, and he was out for a while. When he came back, he said he was still afraid in the batter's box. Now here he is in the All-Star game, so he overcame the fears of being hit in the face with a fastball. That's tough to do.
And at age 28, he makes his first All-Star game appearance. Comes in batting .330. Kyle's ahead of him 0-2, and he laces it foul. Top half of the 7th, 3-2 American League.
In fact, he was one of those parade of players they were talking about trading for when the Yankees were looking for a left fielder.
The Yankees considered a whole slew of alternatives.
They had a lineup, didn't they?
Before acquiring David Justice. 2-2.
I think everyone was rumored to go there except me and you.
You might still be able to help.
No.
Kyle knocks it down, stays with it, throws Lawton out. And we go to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. I'm here with Barry Larkin of the shortstop over from the Cincinnati Reds, and Barry was telling us, you know, it's very competitive. You guys don't treat this like an exhibition. You really want to win, don't you?
Well, you know, it is an exhibition game, obviously, but everybody wants to come out here and win. You know, the first thing that Bobby Cox said to us was, have fun, but let's win, you know. So there was definitely, you know, he was just trying to show everybody, listen, we're going to have a good time out here, but the idea is to win, and we definitely want to win tonight.
Now, the Reds have been disappointing so far this season, some inconsistent play. Do you guys have enough time to turn things around? Are you going to need another spring training, or is this season gone?
Well, you know, I don't think it's gone by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, they've been juggling some things around in Cincinnati as far as the starting rotation, trying some different guys there. Maybe they found a couple guys in Elmer DeSens and Scott Williamson. Hopefully they'll let them go out there and do their jobs. And, you know, all we got to do is just play. We have absolutely nothing to lose now. I don't think things will get much worse in Cincinnati as far as us going out and performing. And, you know, so I think the prospects are good for us.
Why has it gone so badly? The expectations were so high.
Well, I think that's exactly it. The expectations were extremely high and probably lofty. But, you know, you bring in Dante Bichette and Junior, and, you know, hey, everybody, you know, we're supposed to score 20 runs a game. That just hasn't happened for us. And, you know, I think we were kicked back a couple notches, but I think we're coming now.
Very good luck in the second half of the season.
Thank you, man.
Our postseason colleague, he doesn't want to be with us again. Bob?
All right, Jim, thanks very much. That second half will begin for the Reds with Cincinnati a game under 500 and 8 games back of the Cardinals in the Central. Not insurmountable, but tough.
Bob, I was laughing at what Bobby Cox told him, to have fun but win. My first All-Star game, Chubb Feeney came in and said, "You're not here to have fun, you're here to win." So a little opposite pep talk. I think that's the way Bobby Cox manages. He wants you to enjoy the game, but go out and win. I think that's the way he manages the Braves day in and day out.
The 3-2 pitch to the White Sox, Maglio Ordonez, and the count holds. Ordonez is making his second consecutive All-Star appearance. He is hitting .330 for the year. And it's still 3-2.
Bob, you told the people at home to stop scoring. I think I stopped somewhere along the line. I'm lost here.
Well, Ordonez at the plate. Erstad on deck. Posada to follow if the inning is prolonged. Checked his swing but made contact. Still 3-2. With the All-Star game here in Atlanta, interesting to note that in the last 9 months they played the World Series in this town, the Super Bowl, and now the All-Star game, and just 4 years removed from the Summer Olympics, so it's been something of a sports mecca. Another 3-2 pitch. And a drive toward right center field with Andrew Jones in pursuit, but he won't get there. It splits them and goes to the wall. Ordonez on his way to second with a 1-out double.
This is what I like about the Chicago White Sox young hitters. Ordonez, Lee, Singleton. All of these guys look like they've been hitting forever. Look at this. Pitches away, doesn't try to pull it, he just slams it the other way. They all go with the pitch so well. And that ball is right in the gap.
The White Sox, with baseball's best record, 23 games over 500, and most importantly 10.5 in front of the heavily favored Indians in the Central. The Indians have had a lock on that Central Division title for the better part of a decade. Usually by this time of the year they're making plans for their postseason rotation. Now they got to figure out how to make up 10.5 lengths once the season resumes. Here's Darren Erstad, who leads the majors with 144 hits. And actually is on pace to possibly break George Sisler's record. Bouncing ball to short. Renteria takes it. Ordonez moves up from second to third. That's the second out. George Sisler back in 1920 for the St. Louis Browns had 257 hits in a 154 game season. Darren Erstad, who is batting .384 at the midway mark, has a chance to break that record, which has stood for 80 years. Now here's Posada, an All-Star in his first season as the full-time Yankee catcher, with Joe Girardi having left for the Cubs.
And he has responded very well to being the everyday catcher. Joe Girardi was the guy that caught some of the veteran pitchers on the staff. Now he's the everyday catcher, and he's responded very well. And he has a good rapport with all the pitchers on the Yankee staff.
Joe Girardi, a late All-Star addition, looking on as his former teammate. Sees the count go to 1-1. Ordonez is at third with 2 out. We're in the top of the 7th. The American League leads it 3-2. Sliced down to third base, scooped up there. And the throw across the diamond retires Posada. Jeff Cirillo making the play. Stretch time in Atlanta. Home team down by 1. Fourth, Derek Jeter, who was 3 for 3 while he was in there, singles home 2. The American League takes a 3-1 lead. The National League got a run on the 5th to make it 3-2, and that's where we stand now. Meanwhile, Joe, you were looking with dismay at your own scorecard. You've got company. Listen to Joe Torre.
Well, just like my book report. When I used to be in school, this is what my homework looked like.
So I don't feel so badly now.
There aren't that many more people to keep track of. He's used all of his position players except Tony Batista, the infielder from Toronto, and Edgar Martinez, who really can't play the field and can only be used as a pinch hitter. His only remaining pitchers, now that Todd Jones takes the mound, the Tiger right-hander, the only remaining pitchers, there's Batista, for Joe Torre, are the left-hander from the Indians, Chuck Finley, who he's going to hold out in case the game goes to extra innings, and Tim Hudson and his own closer Mariano Rivera. Edgar Renteria from the Cardinals fouls it off. Fred McGriff, the Tampa Bay Devil Ray representative and a former Atlanta Brave who's still a favorite here, got a nice ovation when the American Leaguers were introduced, is the new first baseman now. Here in the 7th, and Todd Jones is the pitcher. Jones 24 saves, leads the American League, and that for a team not doing all that well in the standings. So every time he gets a chance, he closes it just about. Ray Durham with the flip to McGriff for the out. Let's listen in once again on Joe Torre.
I'm going to use them all. Yeah, I'm going to use them all. We get a tie game, I'm going to run for the hills.
Well, he wants to give everybody a chance to play, and the strategy comes second, a distant second. Chipper Jones was 3 for 3 with a pair of singles and a homer while he was in there. Now here's the Rockies' Jeff Cirillo, batting .330 for the year. And proof, if any, is needed of how much hitters love Coors Field. He's hitting .447 at home and .226 on the road. If you took Mays, Aaron, a healthy Mickey Mantle in their primes, let them play a season in this era in Colorado, what kind of numbers you think you'd be looking at then? 3-0. And that one's in there. This is a homecoming for Todd Jones on the hill now for the American League. He's from Marietta, Georgia. He has 45 tickets for tonight's game, passed out to family and friends. Popped wide of first. Here's McGriff over near the tarp for the catch. Saturday at 4 Eastern, the WNBA on NBC continues with a battle of USA Olympians as Dawn Staley and the Charlotte Sting take on Shamika Holtzclaw and the Washington Mystics. That's the Sting versus the Mystics Saturday at 4 Eastern on NBC. Andrew Jones, an RBI hit in his only at bat. Todd Jones working out of the stretch and a called strike.
Bob, I was talking to Reggie Jackson one day. I said, you know, Reggie, you worked hard for your 500 home runs, didn't you? He said, yeah, I paid with it for 2,500 plus strikeouts. And I asked him a question. I said, well, what do you think Willie Mays would do? He said, well, if these other guys hitting 350, Mays would hit 370 and hit 60 plus home runs. That's what he feels. And that's tough to say, but, you know, because, again, it's hard to compare errors now, but I also think that the balls are go a little farther. I won't say juiced. Most of the parks are smaller, but you know, the players today are bigger and stronger than before.
The ball may be juiced and some of the players may be juiced. Luckily no one on base as that one goes to the backstop.
Well, let's take a look at this fastball that gets away from Jones. Todd Jones throws it over the head of Posada and Andrew Jones.
Two balls and two strikes. Two out, nobody on. Bottom of the seventh, and the 2-2 pitch. Full count. Just to back up your point about Willie Mays, home runs overall in baseball, not just talking about what the Stars do. The overall home runs per game in baseball are around 50% higher than they were during the bulk of Willie Mays' career. So you can't make these direct one-to-one comparisons without considering the context. And Andrew Jones goes down swinging on some real good heat from Todd Jones. Seven complete. The American League clings to that 3-2 lead.
The 2000 Major League Baseball All-Star Game is brought to you by Lexus and our relentless pursuit of perfection. By Zocor. Talk to your doctor about Zocor today. By IBM. Are you ready for e-business? And by McDonald's. We love to see you smile.
The pitcher spot comes up third in this inning. Joe Torre, determined to get everybody in, has already told Tony Batista that he's going to pinch hit sometime in this inning. Listen to Joe.
Batista's going to hit for you.
Oh, right now?
Yeah. I hope I'm not sorry about this, because this is the last player I have.
Well, Joe is really taking a big chance here because he's going to have him hit for Gloss. That means that Batista will play third, and he will not have any position players left other than Edgar Martinez, who may be able to play someplace. But this is a big chance in a 3-2 ball game, because if you tie the game and it goes extra innings, then he would be out of position players technically.
So here's Fred McGriff, who's playing first base at this stage of the game, against Bob Wickman, who has 13 saves for the Brewers. The former Yankee makes his first All-Star appearance at age 31. Former starter, converted to a closer a couple of years ago. So Batista on deck to back for Gloss, and he'll stay in the game and play third.
Right.
Edgar Martinez may not even own a glove. It's been so long since he played in the field for the Mariners. They could get him in as a pinch hitter, and then Joe would be out of players. A little pop. Renteria over along with Cirillo, and it's Cirillo who nearly loses his footing. In fact, he does, but he makes the catch.
Nice play by Cirillo. See, he wants to know where's the wall. He finds the wall, and then he has to reach back. But he keeps his eyes on the ball, and he makes a nice catch.
So here's Tony Batista, added to the team when Alex Rodriguez was hurt. Look at that extreme stance, although he closes it back up as the pitch is delivered.
And the reason a lot of players open their stance so they can face the pitcher with their eyes. So he's got his entire face pointing toward the pitcher, and that's what he wants. Be able to look with both eyes. You get a lot of hitters who turn sideways and they're actually looking at an angle and not using both of their eyes to pick up the ball.
But Batista really takes it to an extreme. Two balls and a strike. Remember the old Tiger second baseman Dick McAuliffe used to hit out of a very open stance from the left side. But Batista is almost directly facing Wickman. Two and two. Again, let's listen to Joe Torre.
He's facing the wrong way.
In foul ground, no play. You can really tell that Joe was very tense during this All-Star game. If this thing winds up going extra innings,
he will get tense. I'll tell you. And really, he's taking a big chance because it's only a one-run ball game.
And Batista goes down swinging. Watching Batista, can't help but think back to when we were kids. Used to like to imitate guys' stances. Willie Stargell pinwheeling the bat, Wes Covington holding it flat. There is nobody who could possibly be confused with Batista. When kids in the schoolyard say, "Who am I now?" it has to be only Batista if they set up that way. Let's go to Jimmy Roberts.
Bob, there's local and then there's local. Todd Jones, you told me it took you 12 minutes to get here from your hometown of Marietta, Georgia. How many tickets did you need for this game?
I had to leave 45, and it was the best money I ever spent. It's just so, I'm so lucky to have a chance to do this in my first All-Star game in Atlanta in front of my family, and just to represent the Tigers means a lot to me, and I'm just so happy to be here.
Did you get a chance to talk to Dale Murphy, who undoubtedly you must have seen as a youngster growing up?
I absolutely did yesterday. Had a chance to go up to him and got my picture taken with him. Got a ball signed from him, and you know, I used to tell him, Horner Chan Murphy, grew up watching you, and always wanted to be like you, but I got to pitch instead.
3 up and 3 down for Todd Jones. Some kids never grow up. Bob, back to you.
All right, Jimmy, thanks very much. Edgar Martinez, the last guy off the bench other than pitchers for Joe Torre, hit it right on the nose, but Andrew Jones took it. We go to the bottom of the 8th, and it's still 3-2.
MLB at Home is presented by Flonase Allergy Relief. Get 24-hour all-in-one allergy relief with Flonase.
Flying high above Turner Field, the Bud 1 airship with these live shots 1,000 feet above Atlanta. This Bud's for you. Tony Batista stays in the game. He plays third base. Tim Hudson from the Oakland A's, who is 21-4 over the last year and a half and 10-2 this year, comes on to work the 8th. Joe Torre is saving his own closer, Mariano Rivera. He hopes to close it in the 9th, and he's got Chuck Finley in case the game goes to extra innings. This is Jose Vidro from the Expos to pinch hit. Vidro went to Puerto Rico to play winter ball this past year and work on his fielding. Apparently his hitting doesn't need much work. Second in the National League at .375.
And he's a switch hitter. He hits from both sides, swings the bat well, has power.
In a shallow center field, Garcia Parra back with Durham, and it's Nomar who makes the catch. Bobby Cox fiddling with his own lineup. Let's listen in from the National League dugout.
No. If Lieberthal hits, he'll pick him up, okay? But he's our last pinch hitter, too. You know?
The he is Joe Girardi, who was the last position player who hasn't gotten into this game for either team, if I'm not mistaken. Here's the Mets Edgardo Alfonzo. Ball 1 high. And that one's in there. As far as the pitchers go, Cox still hasn't used Ryan Dempster from Florida, Shane Reynolds from the Astros, or Trevor Hoffman, whom he would like to close with if he could ever get a lead. And there is Hoffman of the Padres. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I think we're at the point where Joe Torre is not going to try to manage anymore. He's only hoping now that he can get through because he doesn't have any moves left to make. He just hopes that Hudson can get him to the 9th with a lead and he can bring in Rivera.
And Hudson fans Alfonzo. Hudson is in just his 2nd season in the major leagues. He's 24. He'll turn 25 in a few days. He obviously has a world of ability. Sometimes rubs opponents the wrong way. He's very deliberate on the mound, and occasionally he'll stare an opponent down after he gets a big out.
Well, he gets him out with a changeup. He's got a good changeup, and players really get upset when a pitcher changes up on him when they say they think he should be throwing a fastball.
The 0-1 pitch to Todd Helton, who was over 400 a good portion of the season's first half. In fact, he hit .512 in the month of May.
I know Colorado's a great place to hit, but you still have to swing the bat well to hit 400. There's a changeup again from Hudson.
Well, he's hitting .383 right now to lead the league, and he does hit well on the road, .320. But at home, .459. Look at this home slugging percentage. .896. That's almost comical. Although Helton doesn't seem particularly amused at the moment.
Well, 2 balls, 2 strikes. He's seen 3 straight changeups from Tim Hudson.
Nobody on, 2 out on the 2-2 pitch. Ray Durham should handle it. A 1-2-3 last of the 8th. It's been 3-2 since the 5th. On to the 9th in Atlanta.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else. Why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase Sensibist. Nothing stronger, nothing gentler, nothing lasts longer. Flonase Sensibist. 24-hour non-drowsy allergy relief.
The 2000 Major League Baseball All-Star Game is brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere you want to be. By Applebee's. Enjoy their stuffed chicken Santa Fe, as unique as the Southwest, as American as Applebee's. By Agilent Technologies, dreams made real. And by Samsung. Wireless, digital, Samsung. Everyone's invited.
You guys can score another run or two, be all right.
Mariano's on the 9th?
Yeah.
What's the matter?
Joe Torre tells his guys in the dugout, if you want to score another run or two, that'll be all right. Darren Erstad comes up and says, you're bringing in Mariano, aren't you? We're okay. We're cool. 1 run will do.
Well, to this point, Joe Torre has managed a perfect all-star game, meaning that he has used all the players, and he also has a 3-2 lead, and he has Mariano Rivera up in the bullpen. So this is the perfect situation if you're Joe Torre. But you would still like to have another run or two.
Bobby Cox was a journeyman ball player during a brief career, never an all-star. His counterpart tonight, Joe Torre, a 9-time National League All-Star. And Joe, of course, a familiar face in Atlanta. He played for the Braves in the 60s and managed them in the 80s. And he and his Yankees brought heartache here in '96 and '99 in the World Series. 3 balls and a strike to Ray Durham. Durham's 0 for 1. He popped up in his only at bat. Line drive, base hit.
Well, we may see Joe Torre try to manufacture a run here to give himself the 2-run lead that he really wants. You may see Durham try to steal a base or even hit and run with Garcia Power at the plate.
relaxed American League bench as Garciaparra tries to help them tack on an insurance run or two. He's the major's leading hitter at .389. A big chopper that gets by Cirillo and into the outfield, and Durham scoots to third base.
Well, when you're hitting .390, there's a reason for that. You're a good hitter, but you also get some balls that find some holes for you. That's a chopper right in front of the plate that bounced over the head of Cirillo at third. Look at this. This ball hits right in front of the plate, but it takes a high hop over the head of Jeff Cirillo. He tries to corral it just to keep it from going to the outfield, because he knows if it gets to the outfield, Durham will be able to go to third.
So here's the Twins' Matt Lawton. The National League infield comes in. Ball one high. Fouled off. So this has been another year of the hitter in the major leagues, where scores in double digits don't raise eyebrows, but a low-scoring All-Star game. 3-2 in the ninth. Garciaparra at first, Durham at third, nobody out.
It's a good changeup from Hoffman. That is his weapon.
That's his specialty.
He started him off with a fastball. Now he comes with the change. You can see him with his fingers off the ball. That means he's choking it back in his hand. And that way he can use the same arm speed that he was using on a fastball.
Blocked by Lieberthal, no advance.
One of the things that you see here is that he's throwing a lot of changeups, which means there's a lot of space over here. But Pedro has to play close enough to the bag, so if the runner at first breaks, he can cover back. You see Renteria couldn't get there if the guy from first base steals, and there he goes.
And it's hit right through that hole. Garciaparra to third, Durham scores, and there's the insurance run Joe Torre was looking for, and they're still threatening first and third, nobody out.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. He's throwing a changeup, which means it gives the guy a chance to pull it. Look at all the hole over here on the right side. Pedro can't cover it, and the ball goes through for a base hit. So they had a perfect situation there. If you're the Yankees, I shouldn't say the Yankees, the American League, and Joe Torre. You have a big hole on the right, the guy throwing changeups, and it works out in your favor.
Bobby Cox, one of the best managers in recent Major League history, may be getting tired of looking at Joe Torre in the other dugout.
Well, especially with the wins that Joe Torre has been able to count against him.
He's lost 8 straight World Series games now to Joe. And on the short end in this All-Star game, 4-2 in the ninth on his home field. Here's the White Sox Maglio Ordonez. Infield is up once again. Ball one from Hoffman. Lawton, who singled home, the 4th run is at first. Garciaparra, who had a chopped single earlier, is at third. There goes Lawton, breaking for second. Lieberthal won't throw. He steals it standing up.
This is what I always like about Joe Torre's managing. He puts pressure on the defense. He moves runners. He forces things to happen. And all he did right there is now he forces the infield where they have no chance. They have no place to go except to the plate. And that's not a force out anymore. They don't have a force at second.
In the air to deep center field, Andruw Jones turning to the track, makes the catch. Garciaparra scores from third. Lawton moves up from second to third. And on the sacrifice fly, it's 5-2 Americans.
And I tell you, Joe Torre is feeling much better over there about the situation, because a 3-2 lead, he was in jeopardy of going extra innings, and he didn't have any players left.
That's it.
Well, he told him he needed a couple of more runs, and they responded for him.
So now here's Darren Erstad again against a drawn-in infield. He's 0 for 1 on the night. A strike to the Angel outfielder, who was a place kicker and punter for the 1994 national champion Nebraska Cornhuskers. Lawton at third with 1 out. Bounce to second. There'll be no play as it's booted. Lawton scores. Jose Vidro just into the game, couldn't handle it.
Well, it was a tough play because he had to charge it all the way, and he got the in-between hop, and that's a very difficult play to make. When you're fielding a ball, you want it on the short hop or the big hop, and the dangerous hop is the in-between hop, and that's what he gets here. Watch this. He charges. Actually, the split second late, he charges. See, that's the in-between hop. You get it about a little above the knees. You want it as it's barely coming off the ground or at the top of its bounce.
A strike to Jorge Posada. So 3 runs across in the 9th. And lots of breathing room for the American League. 6-2. The attendance tonight, 51,323. The estimated economic impact of the All-Star Game on the city of Atlanta is some $50 million. 0-2 pitch. Misses.
50 million, maybe I can talk him into having the next All-Star Game in my house.
If you've got 50,000 plus seats in your backyard, perhaps you could make a case. And Posada strikes out. In this inning, Joe Torre has demonstrated once again that he's an American League manager with a National League style. And of course, during his career as a player and then as a manager with the Mets, the Braves, and the Cardinals, he was in the National League until coming to the Yankees.
And Bob, I think that type of managing is what jump-started the Yankees when he went back and took over, because they were a struggling ball club. He went back and played National League style baseball in the American League parks. And the Yankees still are not a power hitting ball club like most of the other contenders. They haven't had a guy hit over 30 home runs in each of the last 3 years when they've won the pennant. Won the world championship 2 years out of those 3, I guess.
And these days, almost anybody hits 30 home runs.
Yeah.
Strike 1 to McGriff, who's 0 for 1. Well, let's see how daring Torre wants to be in the bottom of the inning. If he wants to let Chuck Finley of the Indians face a hitter just to get him in the game and then let Rivera close it.
I don't think so. He's taking some chances. I don't think he's going to take that last one.
All the American Leaguers enjoying the scene in the 9th, apparently on their way to their 4th consecutive victory and 10th in the last 13 against the National League, which once dominated the American. 2-2. Torre told me before the game that Chuck Finley, who's a veteran and has been in the All-Star game before, understood that he might not pitch at all in the game, that Torre would hold him back since he's a starter, used to working long innings, use him in case the game went to extra innings. McGriff fans, but the American League pushes across 3 in the top half of the 9th, and they take a 6-2 lead to the bottom half. This aerial viewpoint is provided by Budweiser and the Bud One Airship, the crisp, clean, and refreshing taste of the king of beers, Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Technically, it's not a save situation with a 4-run lead. Mariano Rivera comes on. Meanwhile, in the National League bullpen, 2 guys who apparently won't get in, Shane Reynolds of the Astros and Ryan Dempster of the Marlins, toss anyway. Joe Girardi is the only position player, the only non-pitcher on either team not to get into the game. But Bobby Cox told us before the game that Girardi pretty much understood that he was here as insurance, as a 3rd catcher, just in case. Here is the National League's 2nd catcher, Mike Lieberthal. fouling the first one off. Lieberthal's 0 for 1 since replacing Jason Kendall behind the plate. And the game is delayed briefly. Someone has run out onto the field, and the security guards are taking care of that situation. And we will not humor the fool by showing him on camera. In the 37-year history of the All-Star MVP award, it hasn't existed throughout the history of the game itself, but they've been giving it out for 37 years. No Yankee has ever won it. Derek Jeter probably will tonight. His teammate Mariano Rivera trying to close it. He has 21 times in the season's first half for the Yankees.
That's a shock in itself, Bobby, because, I mean, DiMaggio, Mantle, Elston Howard, all the great players that they've had in these All-Star games. That's very surprising.
Here's the 1-1. And a bouncer over Rivera's head. Charging it is Garcia Parra, and he throws it away.
I think that'll be scored as a base hit and an error.
And that's what it is. A single E6.
Tough play for Garcia, and he throws on the run. And a lot of times when you're throwing on the run trying to get something on the ball, you automatically throw it too high. But it's a very difficult play to make anyway.
Here's Brian Giles. Pirate outfielders 0 for 1. He never was a full-time player with the talent-rich Cleveland Indians. Never got as many as 400 at-bats in a season in Cleveland, although everyone knew he could hit, and he's proven that in Pittsburgh. Back to Rivera. Looks Lieberthal back to second, and the toss to McGriff for the first out.
And you can see why Rivera is so difficult to hit, both from the right side and the left side. That's a cut fastball he's throwing. Looks like a fastball out over the plate, and all of a sudden it's in on the hands of Giles. And we saw the same thing with Lieberthal. It looked like it was a fastball in the middle of the plate. It moves away, and he hits the top of it. Hits the chopper over the mound.
Here's Steve Finley for his first at-bat. The 35-year-old veteran has been in the All-Star game once before, hitting, as you see, an even 300 for the Diamondbacks. The D-backs are being pressed now just a bit by the resurgent Giants, who won 8 in a row just before the All-Star break. Cardinals beat them Sunday to snap the string. But Buck Showalter's team has only a 3.5 game lead now on Dusty Baker's Giants. 1-2. The Cardinals' Edgar Renteria is on deck. Still 1-2. Lieberthal at second with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. And Rivera's 1-2 pitch to Finley. Up and in.
And you can see that ball just move in just at the last second on the left-handed hitter. And that's why he's so successful against both left-handers and right-handers. Left-handers really do not have an advantage. In fact, some people believe that a right-hander has a better chance to hit Mariano Rivera than a left-hander does.
Count holds at 2-2. Rivera is still acknowledged as the American League's best, but there have been times during the first half of the season when he was something less than invincible.
I think this goes for the whole Yankee team. I mean, they've set the bar so high that we just expect so much from them.
Finley laces one to center. Lieberthal being waved home. And it's a 6-3 game.
That boy Mike.
Good job by Finley to hit that ball in the center field. Not exactly where Rivera wanted to throw it. This one's down. He wants it up in the end. It's down. Look at that right there on the inside part of the plate. Good hitting there by Finley as he fights it off.
So with the help of an error by Garciaparra, the National Leaguers touch Rivera for a run in the bottom of the ninth. Here's Renteria, who's 0 for 1, slicing one foul. Over the last 2 seasons, getting back to Rivera, he has been as close to perfect as a reliever could possibly be. First half of this season, his ERA is just under 3, his record 2-3, and he has 21 saves. Called strike, 0-2. Jeff Cirillo of the Rockies on deck. Way high. The National League a base runner away from bringing the tying run to the plate.
Anytime you go to the last inning down by 4 runs, that is your goal, to be able to bring the tying run to the plate.
Renteria bounces it to short. There's one. Durham turns it, and that's the ball game. Four in a row for the American League.
Well, they're on a roll. And, you know, it started about 6 or 7 years ago. They brought all the good young players into the league. They were bringing more young players into the American League at that time that had a chance to be superstars, and it's starting to show up a little bit.
The 2000 All-Star Chevy MVP is Derek Jeter. You see what he did before being replaced at shortstop by Nomar Garciaparra, and his friendly rival from the Red Sox started the game-ending 6-4-3 double play as the American League wins it 6-3. And we'll have the presentation of the MVP trophy when we come back to Turner Field in Atlanta after this.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
He may not know it, but James Baldwin of the White Sox was the winning pitcher tonight. He was the pitcher of record when they assumed the lead, which they did not relinquish. We assume that by now Baldwin is winging it back to Chicago, where his wife is expecting any minute. Al Leiter of the Mets was the game's losing pitcher. Chipper Jones had the game's only home run in a losing cause for the National League. And these days, a game that's played in 2 hours and 56 minutes is considered fairly brisk, especially with all the changes made in an All-Star game. Let's go to Jim Gray for the official presentation of the MVP trophy.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. I'm now joined by the Commissioner of Baseball, Bud Selig, and tonight's MVP, Derek Jeter. Bud, make the presentation.
Thank you, Jim. Derek, on behalf of Major League Baseball, congratulations, 3 for 3, and a great night. And I'm told the first New York Yankee to ever win this award. So you've had a great career, and this is just another great moment. And congratulations, Derek.
Thanks a lot. It means a lot. I mean, you know, the shortstop position in the American League, you never know if you're going to get a chance to come to an All-Star game, let alone start one. So, you know, I'm just thankful I got an opportunity to play.
The first Yankee to win this award. When you think about all of the great players, DiMaggio, Mantle, and of course the MVP award wasn't always there during all of these All-Star games. What does that mean to you to be the first to accomplish this?
It's tough to believe. I mean, you look at all the Yankee greats, you know, over the years, you'd figure at least one of them would win an MVP award. But, you know, it's tough to win an MVP award because you get in there, you don't know how many at-bats you're going to get, you don't know what situation you're going to come in. So I was just in the right place at the right time.
And it's kind of funny, had you started last year, you would have not started tonight.
I know, maybe so. So, you know, fortunately, the Boston fans voted for Nomar last year, and Mr. Torrey gave me an opportunity this year.
3 for 3. What is going on with you here in Atlanta? It seems as though you guys have a spell over the Braves and certainly over Bobby Cox. What is going on with you in this ballpark and in this area in general?
I don't necessarily know about that. You know, I had 2 previous All-Star bats, and I struck out both times. So I wanted to be aggressive, swing early in the count, and put the ball in play. Unfortunately, I found some holes.
Derek, now you guys haven't played your best baseball. You now go into the second half of the season. You're tied for the lead. Seems as though the schedule is in your favor. You guys now go home, I think, for 16 or 17 days. Can you guys put it together and reclaim what everybody feels you guys have established over the past couple of years?
Well, most definitely. I think you got to keep things in perspective. Winning is not easy, and we may have made it look easy 3 of the last 4 years, but it's very difficult to do. Every team's gunning for us, and we've played, you know, not up to our expectations yet. We're still tied for first place, and we've been playing good baseball the last couple of weeks, and hopefully it can carry over in the second half.
With everything that you've accomplished at such a young age, what else really is left for you other than to be a model of consistency for years to come?
Well, we want to win more championships. We're all trying to catch Yogi Berra. He's got his 10 rings, so I think that's what everyone's shooting for.
Derek, congratulations to you. Great game.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's send it over to Jimmy Roberts.
Jim, thanks very much. And Joe Torre, you have been extraordinarily successful in this stadium. I don't know what the vibe is, or did you have a good time in there tonight? We eavesdropped on you a little bit, and it sounded like you were having a good time.
I'm surrounded with a pretty good array of players and coaches, and of course my bench coach, Don Zimmer, is always entertaining. The only thing that's scary, Jimmy, in this kind of game, I wanted to get everybody in, but you know very well that you run out of players in the National League, and you're going to wind up having the pitcher hit for himself. But I was happy for those 3 runs in the ninth.
We heard you say that you were going to play all your players, and then if they scored, you were going to head for the hills. Is there a sense in a game like this that it truly is an exhibition and you can have some fun, as opposed to the types of All-Star games that you used to play in, where it was much, much more serious business?
Well, yeah, we wanted to win maybe more than these guys do. I can't really say that. But, you know, they had friends on the other team. I'm not sure we had that many friends in the other league as they do now, because, you know, players just go from league to league a lot. It is an exhibition. I think everything leading up to the game, you know, at that time we used to show up on Monday night and play Tuesday afternoon and go on home. So you really didn't spend as much time with each other as they do now. And they certainly do enjoy the camaraderie.
With all of the great Yankees over all the years, isn't it remarkable that Derek Jeter becomes the very first to win the MVP award in this championship?
Well, Derek's only been in the big leagues for 5 years, but I know one thing: when you mention his name, you're going to think of Yankees. He's a very proud individual. I'm so happy that his parents were here to watch this, and I'm sure they're as proud as I am.
You got an opportunity to manage David Wells once again, which I'm sure is an opportunity you'd like to have during the regular season and in the playoffs again if it was possible. You have a special relationship with him?
I do. You know, we had an adversarial relationship for a time, but we talked it out and we argued it out, and we got to where we respect each other. In fact, all of a sudden after 2 innings, I felt a wet kiss on my left cheek, and I looked over and it was Wells saying goodbye and thanking me for allowing him to start. I have a great deal of respect for David, because during the last few years he's turned into a guy with having a good arm to being a good pitcher, and he certainly you know, deserved this start, and I'm awfully happy for him.
Joe Torre, a warm response for you here in this city, despite the fact that you all haven't always been the best of guests. Bob, let's go back up to you.
Jimmy, thanks very much. A quick look back at some of what went on tonight, with the American League winning for the 4th consecutive time over the Nationals. They had a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 3rd when Chipper Jones went to left center field off James Baldwin to tie it at 1. Top half of the next inning against Al Leiter of the Mets, Derek Jeter with the base hit that plates 2 and gives the American League a 3-1 lead. The Nationals cut it to 3-2. It stayed that way from the 5th to the 9th. But then the American League tacked on 3 insurance runs. The hit by Matt Lawton of the Twins was part of it. Maglio Ordonez then delivered a long sacrifice fly that plated Nomar Garciaparra. And this is the inning-ending and game-ending double play hit into by Edgar Renteria in the bottom of the 9th inning after the National League had pushed across a run of their own to make it 6-3. Garciaparra to Durham and on to McGriff to end the ball game. And there's the final accounting. And we'll be back to wrap things up from Atlanta right after this. Well, Ivan Rodriguez, the great catcher of the Texas Rangers, got more votes than any other All-Star in either league. Ken Griffey Jr. held that distinction for the last 4 years prior to this one. Pudge broke that streak, and he helped the American League win tonight. Here he is with Jimmy Roberts.
Bob, thanks very much. And Bob Costas makes the point that you have gotten more votes than anybody else. Is that meaningful to you?
Well, it's nice, you know. I just appreciate that for the fans, you know. And I came here and enjoy it, and the good thing that we win today, and I have fun, and I think my team have fun also.
To say that you are the prototypical catcher would be an understatement, because there are many who would like to be so much like you. But there has been some discussion that perhaps you would switch to an infield position, maybe second base. Is that in the plans for you?
No, I mean, I'm as long as my knees and my legs strong, you know, stay strong, I'm going to be behind the plate. There's some comments that I'm going to change position, but, you know, I'm just talking that about 6-7 years from now, you know. But right now, I feel great, my body feels great, and I'm going to be behind the plate.
As a young man growing up, what catcher did you look to as the one that you wanted to emulate?
Well, I like Johnny Bench. I got a chance to see Johnny Bench on TV, Lance Parrish, Carlton Fisk, all those guys, you know, I like the way they play, and I get the opportunity to see in TV in my house.
Interestingly enough, Joe Morgan, our color commentator up there, who, as you know, played with Johnny Bench, said during the game that you had an opportunity perhaps to be one of the best catchers ever. And as you know, he played with Johnny Bench. What's your reaction to that?
Well, that's nice, you know, from Joe to say that. Just thank you very much, Joe. But for me, you know, I just consider myself like another player. I got to go in the field and do my 100% every day. And when I just say I'm not going to play no more, I just look my number and say I got a good career. But right now, you know, I like to do good in the field every day and try to do my best in the field every night.
Well, you certainly are doing well in the field every day, and certainly did your best tonight. Thanks so much for joining with us. Good luck the second half of the season. Joe, Bob, back up to you guys.
Jimmy and Pudge, thanks very much. Well, you and your National League mates never would have stood for this. 10 out of 13.
They've got to make some changes. They better get a little more serious next time.
Well, maybe next time McGuire and Griffey and Bonds and Piazza and Maddox will be healthy. That would have helped.
That would have helped. Definitely. That was a lot of firepower that was left off this All-Star team for the National League.
What do you look forward to second half of the season? Anything in particular?
Well, I look forward to the Cleveland Indians actually making a run at the Chicago White Sox, because I think they need to be battle-hardened, so to speak, if they're going to play in the playoffs, but I expect them to hold on.
And how about those Giants as we look at Barry Bonds making a move on the D-backs in the NL West?
The Giants are playing great right now, and they have a shot. I think the National League West and American League West are going to have some real races down the stretch.
Joe, good to be with you again.
Always great, Bobby.
See you in October, if not before. Once again, the final score from Atlanta, the American League 6 and the National League 3. Coming up next on most of these stations, it's your late local news. Then it's The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Among Jay's guests tonight, Richard Simmons. For Joe Morgan, Hannah Storm, Jim Gray, and Jimmy Roberts, I'm Bob Costas. You've been watching the 2000 Baseball All-Star Game on NBC and from Turner Field in Atlanta. Good night, everybody.